bloody
Puggles.
you. Where do you
Puggles.
go?
Fuck off.
hell.
That's all I have to say to you. El Louis, you can get out of here as well.
No!
1020.
One of them's like
character I know how to
slightly
play with.
sticky.
Slightly sticky.
Getting artisanal crisps out, eating them pantsless on the couch.
It's funny that he's sad.
Fill the hole.
five,
Fill the hole.
I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I'd say I'd like to kiss him on the mouth.
I feel like I'm gonna get rid of Dota.
That's the wrong choice.
The Last of Us too. Whoa! No, I'm not going to do that. It's fine. I was just trolling. I'm sorry, and you're traveling through time after this game to games that have not yet been made yet.
Best two. We've moved on.
It got deleted, and so we'll have.
He's made a mistake. He's made a mistake.
Hey, I'm Nick Pearce. Welcome to Backpocket Live from the Loki Studios for Thursday, the 5th of August. My goodness, tonight on the show, games we've been playing, games someone else has been making, and then more games that we are playing. And I'm joined by my favorite people to play games with, and that includes
Gus, the vomiter, and with me is...
Stephanie, who feels a little bit shit today. A little bit shit, but I'm happy to be here regardless.
Nice. And Peter, who also feels a little bit shit. I'm wearing and looking a little bit shit. I'm wearing a beanie because I've got beanie hair from today. Just trying to cook myself into health.
Good. Nick, how are you feeling?
We had the vaccine. To be clear, we had the COVID vaccination yesterday. We had AstraZeneca, and if you've had AstraZeneca or you've spoke to people who have, you'll know that the sort of night that you get it and the day after is pretty rough, and it's been a journey.
And I've been having sympathy sickness with you both.
and I am a picture of health. Pete, give me my solo.
Oh god.
Oh, one. 1.5.
Yeah.
Sorry, is he doing knees to claps?
It doesn't really. I don't even think that counts as a push-up.
Wow.
That was good.
Yeah.
Star jump.
Yeah, star jump.
Good.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
high knees. Yeah,
High
good.
knees.
Yeah.
What about a lunge? Throw a lunge in there. I don't know what that is.
What is that? That's a
it's a
phantom
squat.
tug.
Everyone's into squats these days. Good for
I
you,
pulled
Nick.
something. Yeah, I feel great.
Yeah, we saw you pulling phantom tugging.
Yeah. Welcome everybody to Back Pocket. Will, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling great. There's nothing wrong here. So I'm not going to get up and show you how fit I am, but I will just sit here.
I would say everything is right with this.
Yeah, it looks great. Look at this.
That's a
Double
look.
collar, denim, and a shirt. Who's
So
up
my
and
thought
agrees
around?
with you.
Who's
Love
up and
it.
around?
My thought process as well is within lockdown is you can try out whatever you want to wear, but the thing is, no one can see you until you go live on the internet, in which case everyone can see you.
Yeah,
So
and more people, and arguably more people will see you than you would if you just went outside.
Well, it works. It works. It so works.
Totally.
Yeah, Will,
As
can you
does-
look down?
good.
Sorry, Gus, you go.
I was just going to say it works, as does John Mayer meets Lenny Kravitz in the bottom corner as well.
That's true.
Both good looks.
Okay, good. So then I want something from each of you. Pete, if you could do the Lenny Kravitz on stage pant rip, and Will, if you could just look down the barrel and say, "I don't know how to quit you."
Wait.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no! Wow, they
don't
are
know how
tight
to quit you.
pants.
It's actually,
there it is.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Oh,
It's
he's
been a
broke
while
backing.
since I've seen
He's
that
broke
film.
backing. I get
Yeah.
it.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, good, perfect as well.
That's not your Peter. That's not your
trade
new guitar.
guitars.
Show everyone your new guitar.
All right, it's there. I got a Mexican Strat. Whoa!
Wow. And you don't even play, so that's even
don't
more
play.
impressive.
They look great. They look great in the room, though. I got a Mexican Strat, and I got a little
Mini amp.
as well,
Very nice.
Just
That's sick.
which is sitting on top of my
Hang
old
on.
amp.
So it's obviously it's a Stradivarius. Is that the guitar?
It's a Stratocaster. A
Stradivarius is a violin.
I know that.
What just happened? Can you draw the S for us, Gus?
Good. Oh, denim out
that's
attitude. That's enough out of you, Will.
That's clearly a Yamaha piano, right? In the background there.
What is
What's fucked
Does a
is that I was-
Stradivarius exist?
Yeah, it's
What I was
isn't
gonna-
it? Stradivarius is the
it's the,
violin.
Oh yeah,
Stradivarius.
It's a harpsichord. What I was going to emphasize is what's Mexican about it, not the
Stradivarius.
It was built in Mexico.
Is a Finnish power metal band that was formed in 1985.
There you go.
It's Fender Stratocasters are very expensive, particularly American-built ones. So Mexican-built have like a different tone, and they're much cheaper, but they're a very nice guitar.
That was the thing I wanted to clear up. The Mexican refers to where it's from, not that it's some type of. It's only for Mexican music, for mariachi electric.
No, it doesn't have like nylon strings.
Okay. Well, moving on.
I haven't pointed out that I'm wearing a shirt that adopted Scouser sent to me.
Aww.
It says, let Nick have his moment.
Nah, just read
it. Says,
just cut it
Marty,
out.
whatever happens, don't ever go to 2020, which I think is something we can all live by.
That's a great
You adopted
t-shirt.
Scouser.
It matches the jacket, which is my favorite jacket of yours. Nick, just go have a moment.
I'm
It's
just
a cool
laughing at the
shirt. It's a cool
idea
shirt.
of someone in a music shop handing the guitar over to Pete. You go, "They'll promise me you'll only play Mexican music on this. You cannot play anything else, or they will come."
Ole.
Oh God. Okay, good.
Good.
Well, we are excited to have everybody here. It should be a fun night. It's already been a fun night. Gus, can I say, before we get properly started, you are looking very fit. Have you been taking any long walks
I
recently?
thought you were going to say, have you been taking any supplements or anything like that? I have. Nice segue. Is that in reference to the fact that on Sunday I took a 8-kilometer walk while playing Pokemon? What is it called?
Unite?
Pokemon Unite on Oculus Quest. Via the most elaborate setup I've ever done on a treadmill.
Steph's face on this has been a journey.
Steph, imagine I was at that point and I had to work my way backwards to work out how to do it. I have a treadmill left over from when I was doing the charity runs. I thought I'd go on it on the weekend, and I'm in lockdown, obviously, as is a lot of Australia. And I was like, I want to play a game while I do this. So I set up the Switch on my treadmill to play Pokemon Unite. Screen was too small. I'm too old. I'm squinting. But the best thing is you can walk with your Joy-Cons in either hand. And that is a crucial part to gaming and exercise. If you try and hold it... Yes, no,
before
please.
you continue, from my perspective, when you said I walked 8 kilometers, first I was like, you're not allowed to walk more than 5 from your house. So how did you do that unless you were going around in a circle? and then I was like, obviously it's Pokemon Go if you're doing that, because like that's a game where you walk and play at the same time. So when you said I walked 8 kilometers and played Pokemon Unite, I was very confused.
So me breaking the law with the Switch. No,
we got some footage. We got some footage of that.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Here's Gus on Saturday in his full setup. He's definitely playing Pokemon
so
Unite.
Amazing.
What am I looking at?
This was
Pokemon
years ago.
Unite on a treadmill.
This is like a go-to clip on the internet of the the most. As it's someone done it with. No, Pete, did we cut it to the music from?
Yeah, I actually went and found the version that I put on my YouTube channel, which has "Welcome to the Future"
Trials
Machine the Fusion from Trials Fusion underneath it.
Man Machine the Fusion.
Mine did not look like that. I managed to run my Switch through my capture unit into desktop VR into my Oculus, which I then got on my treadmill and just played for like 40 minutes and played 3 rounds of it while I walked with the Joy-Cons, and it worked. It worked actually surprisingly well.
How did you get it into the Oculus? What did you do?
There's virtual desktop, which is just lets you mirror what's on your PC.
You like
you Elgato'd your Switch into like your computer, and then you desktop mirrored. Yeah,
and then I full screened the Switch.
Man.
It looked the crispest the Switch has ever looked on through an Oculus in like a panoramic screen. You do lose a tiny little bit of your balance, and so you do need to look down. You actually have to make the screen on the Quest be like here, so that your head dips forward, and that you can look through the little gap under your nose and just see where your feet are. Because once or twice I just did that. Just enough to like.
Hang on, why were you playing in VR?
I was going to say, is anyone else questioning? Like, you picked the one handheld console. Like,
Why are we
this isn't a
questioning this?
PlayStation. You could have just held the Switch in your hands.
Yeah,
And not
you
been
totally.
trapped.
I don't understand. This is not a like. If you're going to play like an immersive VR game where you need to walk around in the world or something like that makes
nothing
sense.
that you can turn corners on. Like, you'll fall off a treadmill. The thing about this is that a Switch screen is too small to have on the thing in front of you, especially with Pokemon Unite. And you can't walk and do exercise holding something out in front of you like that. That's just like stupidly
Right, but then you put it on the TV in front of the treadmill, and then you
in
just
front
have
of
the
the treadmill.
controller
I
in
have a
your
TV in
hands.
front of my treadmill, got really bored and thought, what's the biggest screen I could have right now? And thought I could do a Quest. So
Yes.
put it on this massive screen on the Quest unit. It
I love
totally
it.
works.
It's ingenuity.
You're such a
thank you,
strange
Peter.
man.
It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense.
I
worked.
walk so many places using my Switch. Like, I play the Switch, like, when I used to be able to go outside, it was a Switch Lite, which is an even smaller screen than what you've got. It's totally fun.
Melvin Doom makes a good point. Convoluted but amazing. It was one of those things that I was bored on the treadmill and I was like, how can I make this more interesting for me? And I was like, massive virtual screen on my headset kind of thing. I could only do about like 50 minutes before like head, neck problems, sweaty visor, all that kind of stuff. Started looking like the guy in the video Pete put up. So yeah, definitely had to stop it
You
at one
walked
point.
8 kilometers in an hour. That's a pretty good pace.
I was going at
walking speed.
5.8 kilometers per hour while I did it, and I won most of my matches. So there you go.
Nice.
All right,
I'm
good.
proud of you.
I'm just
cool.
killing time
Very
in
cool.
lockdown here, guys. Just killing time.
Mr. Smarty Pants rated with 25
Hey, Mr.
viewers
Smarty Pants. That
during
is,
that conversation as well. So
That's all made
Yay,
Liam.
welcome.
I'm sure they've all left by now.
Yeah, I hope they
of course.
turned up during the video.
Pete, that's Liam from LA,
Liam McIntyre.
who plays Spartacus.
Ah,
Champion. Thank you,
nice.
mate.
Wonderful actor. Wonderful Aussie, making a name for himself.
He
over
was
in LA.
playing some COD Warzone, and he looked like he was doing well, but I'm going to assume the fact that his stream is over, which means he probably died. So, or won, but it's sad that I went with died.
He finished the multiplayer of COD.
Yeah.
I think we should
That's how
have a
good he
new
is.
segment before what you've been playing, which is how you've been playing. And it's just Gus.
Yeah,
And it's
next to
just-
the bed.
Yep.
In VR on the treadmill.
Yeah.
What will he think of next?
All right, let's kick on with the show with a segment we like to call. I'm just saying what you all been playing. Brought to you by Brent Jones, aka LokiCat. I realized I don't remember why we full named LokiCat on the title card. Like, no one else
That's a good
has.
point. He was the first title
It was the
card.
very first one that got made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
right. Okay.
We're going to be like, they're all going to look like this. And then we were like, no, let's backpedal.
Things are
Yeah.
changing.
It also,
But yeah, he's the only one who is named and what's the opposite of shamed? Named and glorified in his title card. So well done, Brent Jones.
Yep, and he says, I didn't care. So there you go. Next week, we'll put up his address as well. Let's talk
Loki
about
Cat,
the
who
games.
I saw get dismembered on our recent stream. So there you go.
Sure.
I watched
yeah.
Loki Cat have his head torn from his shoulders by a polar bear, which then did the same to Nick as he begged for forgiveness, which I've yet to give him.
Oh yeah, that was brutal. That was
Amazing
brutal.
moment. That was
It's
an
fun.
amazing moment. I'm hoping that Peter Burns has had some amazing moments because he's been playing something that, I don't know, technically he was even allowed to, but he did.
Yeah, look, I mean, the rules were unclear.
Your Honor?
I didn't get invited to the Halo technical flight, but a friend of mine did, and he let me log in on his account.
What a shame.
And away I went, and I played, I got a 4-hour stint in against bots on one day on the weekend, and then he let me in for another couple of hours to play against humans when that window was open. There was a
Oh nice.
Oh, you
yeah.
did get a
opened up
shot
the
at that.
PvP.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, which was really good to kind of get that side of things as well, because it's
But you were saying the bots were amazing.
the bots are brilliant. The bots are very clever, and I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun playing just against bots because they're clever in the way that they move. It's just very clever bot AI.
Yeah, cool.
They are fun to engage with. They're hyper aggressive. They're often sometimes they bug out a little bit, but they're pretty smart. So people who don't necessarily want to play competitively will be able to play against bots in all the maps and have fun with their friends 4v bots,
Which is,
which will be awesome.
say is cool because bots are such a like they're by no means like a new and interesting element of games, and they are by like all right something that just gets put in there sometimes out of a technical aspect that like I don't think I've played against great bots in terms of the intelligence of how they move around. It's just like accuracy tends to go up. It's never about behavior so much. So it's cool to like to improve on this. I think it's something that I did not expect to hear from this, and is a cool added feature that it's something I would actually utilize.
Peter, people are asking, are we looking at bots now? Is that what the footage is?
Yeah, I'm fighting against bots here. This is like footage I captured on the weekend. Right. I just want to like right at the top say it is Halo feel. It's excellent.
Yeah, cool.
There's some fun new ideas in it, but there's some really classic Halo feel. And I feel like 343 have finally come around to the idea that they don't need to be COD. And it's not a mistake that 343 started. I like Reach, but Halo Reach had this problem, was kind of the first iteration of this problem where it tried to start being COD. It like introduced loadouts when you jumped into maps.
Yep.
It made your abilities attached to a loadout as opposed to being power-ups that are found on the map. And Halo has always been about kind of Quake-style arena shooting where the weapons and the utilities are power-ups that have a respawn timer, and you need to have map control to be able to go and take those things. And then you are the strong team because you have the power items.
It never went full line sights, did it? Like
It did. Halo 5 had aim down sight.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember.
And this doesn't anymore. This is all hip fire. There is like a version of like looking down the scope, but it doesn't affect the way the guns work.
Right? Yeah.
It doesn't improve accuracy.
Yeah.
It doesn't improve the bullet spread. It doesn't make you stop firing in order to have that animation play out.
Sure.
So it's like... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Finish that off. That's fine.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so it's kind of like, it's gone back to a Halo 3 style feel, which I adore, obviously. So had so much fun playing this, I couldn't get enough.
So I've played Halo, but I only ever have played campaign stuff. I've never played a multiplayer Halo. What do you start a match with then? Do you start with like an assault rifle? Do you have that grapple that we saw? Like, do you have grenade loadouts? You
don't have... You start with standard frag grenades. You start with, I mean, it's different on the playlist, but depending on the playlist, but you start with the assault rifle and the new pistol, and both are very strong. Halo 3 had a problem where basically if you didn't have a battle rifle, it was a bit of a mess. Scrappy with the assault rifle. The assault rifle, they've always struggled to get the balance right. It feels powerful here. It maybe is too powerful, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really get a feel for it enough competitively to understand whether it's a bit OP. But everything is fun to use, feels good, sounds amazing.
And that push towards the DMR was like part of the, was it SWAT playlist, which then became kind of like default in 3, wasn't it? That like most people would play that versus battle rifle.
So the classic, I mean, your battle rifle is the kind of the 3-shot like precision weapon, mid to long range precision weapon. Halo Reach introduced the DMR, and it introduced, there was the first game that had, in the series, that had bullet spread as well. So the faster you fired, the less accurate you were. That's here as well, and I actually think it's handled pretty well here, because you want people to be, taking their shots seriously as opposed to it just being spammy. And I feel like the balance is pretty good with kind of the bullet spread in a range of the guns. Particularly the pistol is the one you feel it most, where you're like, you pepper hard to break their shield, and then you've got to nail that headshot to finish them off. So it's like bang, 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 and then you try and slow down and line up. And like the back and forth of it feels really, really nice.
Well, for me, the one you're doing there, which is always trying to get a grenade to get a little bit of splash damage on them, so when you start that little dance that you're going to come out on top because they've just got that slight bit of damage from the grenade. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, people go and pick up the battle rifle as soon as they can. It's like, again, it's one of those things about map control. It's like, all right, let's rush the like marksman weapons and let them get the overshield maybe, but we know that we can then kind of use our range advantage to pepper them down and finish them off. It was fun playing against bots.
Is the grapple new as well?
The grapple is new, and it is it's a item that you collect. There's a few items that you collect, like little like kind of head-high shields that you can shoot through. I think you can shoot through from one side. I didn't really use that one that much. The grapple is a really effective, cool new movement thing, and you pick it up and you get 3 charges of it. And so again, it's not like you are playing the grappling class and have this weird extra movement around the map that no one else has. It's that you go, okay, well, let's try and get this item on one of our players because we know it's going to be a strong way for them to maintain map control. And again, that's what it's about. Team shooting, map control. And that was the one thing that I didn't get a great sense of in this because I just didn't communicate with anyone. And it doesn't matter in bot matches because it's like, it's easy to just go ham and shoot bots. And then when I was playing 4v4s, I didn't have comms with anyone just because I couldn't be bothered, I think. But it had that feel of like, all right, we need to hold positions, get good, clean call-outs, and that's how you're going to win. And I think this is going to have it could have a great resurgence in the esports scene. It's feeling like classic Halo in that sense.
Can I ask, a huge part about the feel of classic Halo for me is playing on a console with a controller with friends who aren't probably the greatest online shooter players, but they like the forgivingness or the sort of forgiveness of playing with other people who are with a controller. You're obviously playing this on PC. That's how this beta was out.
But I played mostly with a controller.
Oh, right.
For the game feel. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Cool.
But I did play I played quite a few rounds against bots with keyboard and mouse as well, and the game feel is pretty good with both. Yep. I would say it still feels like a controller shooter as opposed to a keyboard and mouse shooter, which you can totally play with the way that and that's because there's no.
What do you mean by that? Like, I mean, surely you can just tweak the settings and sensitivity and stuff like that if you're playing with mouse and keyboard. Like, what do you mean by the fact that
it's more that I believe that
shooter?
with a keyboard and mouse there is no aim assist at all, and there's not really aim assist in this with the controller. It's actually a little harder, I think, than even like a Halo 3 in terms of lining up shots. It has what feels more like a magnetism as opposed to like an auto aim.
Yep.
So once you've hit a target, you can. It's easier to maintain your reticle on them, but it doesn't just because you were near them pull you onto them. Or like COD Snap 2 with left trigger.
Yeah.
There's none of that. It's more, and there's not, because again, there's not really aim down sight with this game. It's very much about getting your first shot lined up and you get that little bit of magnetism. It feels like, and that doesn't happen with the PC, with keyboard and mouse, obviously. That's just with the controller and the sticks.
Well, that's why
also because you're so jumpy and stuff as well. Like there's sort of like the movement feels like it is the movement that is designed for having a thumbstick where you have that sort of like really precise control as opposed to.
Because my favorite
like
parts of Halo were having these dances as you both kind of like leapt around cover, and it was probably stupid to watch from a distance, but it felt fun because it was a little ballet of shooting versus just who saw each other first. Which
kill time is really long in Halo.
Yeah, which is what's wonderful about it as a contrast to COD. And so for me, I was just curious about the controller question because as someone who has played a lot and has such a love for Halo, I was like, did it not feel a little bit of a disconnect having the controller and keyboard? Sorry, the mouse and keyboard versus.
No, felt good.
Yeah, no, well, obviously they're designing that
I think
way because
I
they
will
want to
play
get their player base up with people on both platforms.
Totally, and I think I will probably main controller. I think if it went competitive, it would probably be on Xbox consoles. So they would be playing with a controller like they do with COD now. They always play on PlayStation. So I think that's what we would see. So I don't believe that the casual kind of searches had any kind of separation of keyboard and mouse players and controller players. It could absolutely be there at launch as a toggle. Because, again, I believe it is a toggle in Master Chief Collection.
Okay.
So it would make sense that they would follow suit with that.
Yeah, I'd hope so as well, because again, like I think I've played some COD with friends of mine who again aren't a little rusty on FPSs, and then when we do run into a team that are clearly on a mouse and keyboard, there's their voice drops and they're like, I don't want to be here, and I'm like, I get it.
This is why I'm really excited for this. Like, not only because it's free, and I feel like there's just going to be such a swell of support, or not even support, but like influx of people playing it when it comes out. But I just like I hate playing shooters with the mouse and keyboard. It just doesn't. It's never felt natural to me. So the fact that, like Pete, you're saying that you would prefer to play this with a controller is like makes me very excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
If I was to, oh sorry, no, go. I'll add this.
I was just going to say some other like points of concern that I had going into this were how the movement was going to feel, and we saw a bit of that grapple as a new item to move around, and I've seen clips of people using that in wonderful ways, shooting themselves kind of over the map with a rocket launcher and getting crazy kills and stuff. But sprint has been like such a controversial topic in Halo since Reach, and sprint is here, but it's not really sprint. You move maybe like 3% faster when you're sprinting, and really all it is a utility to kick into a slide.
Sure.
It's more of a light jog.
It's a very, very light jog.
It's Gus on the treadmill playing Pokemon Unite.
Absolutely. So
I haven't tried the slide on the treadmill yet. I'll give that a whirl.
yeah, I didn't do it much in these games that I captured, but I learned to use it a bit more by the end. The slide is obviously a good way to kind of pass through areas like danger open areas, because you don't have a sprint. But also it's people have found ways to use it as like a and also sprint doesn't stop there's no animation into and out of it that slows there is like an animation into it. You can tell when you're sprinting, but it doesn't have it's the same frame you start shooting. You don't. It doesn't stop you from shooting your gun at all.
Right. Yeah, right.
So again, it's all about the classic hipfire Halo shooting. So that's great. That feels right to me. And yeah, then the sprint people have found. Halo 2 people used to do all sorts of trick jumps, which were crazy. And people are going to be doing trick slides in this. There's ways to slide off objects to trigger momentum, to move around maps in interesting ways, and I think we'll see. I don't think they'll patch it out. I think it feels natural and a challenging enough thing to execute, that the slide is useful for anyone, but I think people who master that slide as well it's kind of going to be part of what makes there such a large skill gap in the play as well. So.
Was it
all good? I have nothing bad to say about it.
Did you say I've heard great things about all three of those things? The grapple, the pistol, and the slide have been getting great response online. So that all lines up with what I've been hearing. But was it you mentioning that the bots, speaking of their like improved intelligence, one of them grappled you and hammered you while they like?
I saw. So you can grapple. The grapples are going to be a really cool, interesting new utility. You can grapple weapons on their spawns and pull them towards yourself.
Oh wow!
You can grapple onto players and pull yourself towards them. Yep. And yes, there's a clip going around of a bot using the grapple while holding the gravity hammer.
Right.
And they're sprint charging some guy and grapple and slam him with the hammer as he's like jumping back away from him. It's like. The bots are
They're getting
fun.
too smart.
they were never hard enough that I would love to see the statistics of how many games against bots were lost, because I think it would be zero. Right. But they move in a way that's really fun and satisfying. It doesn't feel like you're just shooting, fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
It feels like you're doing the bit of a dance back and forth, but you're always going to win because you've got the skills.
I'm excited.
So you feel good doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was also a battle pass in here, right? Because
yes.
where they give you some what sort of stuff were you unlocking in that? They gave you fake currency, did they?
They gave you fake currency. You unlock by playing more and getting experience to progress.
Nick sounded like a protective parent. Did they give you fake currency? Did they give you cigarettes?
Use my card, did you?
Don't smoke them.
There was it's all cosmetic, and it's all just about tweaking your appearance. That is the one thing that I'm struggling with. What I struggled with a bit is the new friend or foe indicator on the HUD, because they're putting such an emphasis on letting everyone customize however they want.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a blue player on the red team.
Yeah.
And I've seen people tweak it and make it much more ugly but obvious. See here, these enemies they have a slight red outline around them.
Yeah,
sure.
And when you're peppering them with damage, it actually, I think, gets stronger. Because it's you're engaged in combat with this person, so it'll allow you to see them even better. But that player there has a blue outline. They're my teammate, and they're bright blue armor. It's like so many times I took a couple of shots into a teammate running around a corner. So you can change the colors of those outlines, and you can change, I think, the intensities of them and stuff. But I don't know that they have it right just yet. But
that's one thing that I think needs to be really clear. Otherwise, it just feels really frustrating. I remember when we were playing Chivalry, which was also a red versus blue situation. There were times when I was on the blue team, and I was trying to shoot at, like red enemies, but they were
just covered in
like
blood.
people, in like plate armor that were covered in blood that looked red, but were actually my teammates. And I would be shooting them, and then they would turn and look at me, and then I would see like a little bit of blue on their armor, and I was like, oh shit, sorry.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, not great, not ideal.
But yeah, that is something that from the original was so lovely. That was just like you were red and blue running against each other. It's like no real point of difference. Where it's like, if everyone's got samurai armor that's a weird off color, you're like, what?
Yeah. But I think like if the trade-off is that they can make this game free and people kind of put money to battle passes and getting skins that make themselves feel good, like, I mean, that's the Dota model, and I think that's really good for keeping the player base at a level where there's always going to be a match found.
And imagine a world where I want to be somewhat competitive when the game comes out. What Halo game from the Master Chief Collection should I be playing its multiplayer now to sort of like get my head around broadly what I'm dealing with?
I would say 3 and Reach are the closest to. Yeah.
It's going to be a shock to the system regardless for you, I would say.
That's okay, but it'll be a shock to the system for everyone who has already played. So at least this way, like, because it's such a different kind of shooter than I'm used to playing. Like, no aim down sights. It's a massive difference. I just never got into arena shooters like that. So yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's Halo Infinite.
That was
and
Peter's
I
weekend.
can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's very sad.
He's crying.
I think it was Alex Walker from Kotaku was like tweeting like a couple of nights ago about Splitgate, which is it's been on Steam since 2019. I don't know why it's found traction again.
I do not know what happened.
Yeah, but it is a Halo clone in a very unashamed way. And so I played a bit today. I played a couple of rounds of Splitgate, which kind of brings Portal into a very clear Halo style arena shooter.
Have people just started streaming it? What brought it back into the sort of zeitgeist of things?
I don't know. I think it's just constant updates.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, and then some, and then I think it was a thing where like a big streamer or two kind of got into it, but it has a brilliant concept. Like it takes the Halo thing and then goes, and then it literally just puts portals in it. So then you go, okay, now there are so many places on the map that you can just throw a portal down and appear behind your enemies. Like it is the most gifable, clippable shooter.
And is it like as in aperture portals where you have like an entry and an exit point, and you choose those 2 points, and then you go, yeah, right.
Yeah. So you can see through your portals. You can't see through enemy portals, but you can see them and you can shoot through them. They have kind of like a haze over.
Yeah,
so if you know that someone just ran through their own portal, you can run through it, but you don't know where you're going, or you can shoot through it and maybe shoot them in the back because they just ran through it.
Miss Silver saying a quick Google shows it was released on consoles a week ago. So it was that.
Oh, okay. So it got a console release.
It's back in the
release.
Also, a little shade they're saying you could have just Googled this, Peter, and quickly as well.
Why would I? I don't have time for that. I'm playing games.
Did you enjoy it? Because I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, but to me this feels like more of a PC shooter.
Sure.
It definitely feels like proper hit scanning. It almost felt like shooting in Apex more than Halo in terms of like how your movement felt and how keyboard and mouse it felt to me. Did you feel that as well? Did you feel like you were playing a PC shooter?
100%. Like it was. I couldn't imagine playing this one with a controller, even though I prefer to. I actually played a few games with it. It felt pretty good. Like you get your feet underneath you pretty quickly. But it is a game where I'm like, you need almost double the amount of map awareness and map knowledge than you do in a normal shooter. Because it's like, not only do you need to know all the places on the map like you normally would, but then you need to know all the places that you could be dropping these things so that you could get to them quickly from other parts of the map. So you are always like, I found that I'm constantly like going, I've never been more aware of my surroundings in a shooter, of going, I know where I am now, but I also know if I throw a portal down here, where I'm going to appear when I run through this to get away from this person, or I've set something up here. Like, the best moments I had in this game was running around a corner, seeing 3 people in a firefight, dropping a portal above them, throwing a portal to my wall, shooting them in the back from behind, and then jumping down in there, and then running off, and then running past that first portal that I ran through the first time, and like shutting it off, and knowing that I've still got it's kind of like mind bending, but
I feel like someone who is directionally challenged like me, I feel like this would be very this is very disorientating.
Except I did find that it's also like it had a bit of that in the initial. I only played like 5 games or something, but it had a bit of that like Boomerang X thing of going. In the beginning, I just started like throwing portals down and just seeing what happened. Like, I would just appear in different places and then just like, okay, if someone's in front of me, I'll shoot them.
Out the back and be like, oh yeah, totally, yeah.
But it's such a genius idea. It was so much fun.
Totally.
I think I kind of hate the way it looks. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's definitely Overwatch meets Halo, and that's not a nice combination.
I'm getting like 90s time
Future
zone. Something about the kind of neon and the color scheme of it.
I would say that
it's very busy to look at. It's very like it's a lot going on.
Yeah, but the portal mat stuff, like that, all that like kind of tapestry hexy stuff.
Yeah,
that's very clear what you can put portals on and what you can't.
That's true. That you can.
It's good for gameplay.
Yeah.
Are all the maps kind of similar?
I was going to say this is like almost future sport map. There's like an outdoors one which looks very much like a Halo map, but with these sort of like textures.
This is a lifted Halo map. This is
it actually is.
Yeah.
So right, I meant more like when I think of Halo as being like concrete and like and that's
yeah. Oh, there's one other Covenant ship, which that one exactly was. Is this another lifted one, or is this just like an outdoorsy?
That looks a bit better.
I didn't recognize this. Maybe it's like a tight version of IDs in Valhalla with these towers at either side kind of thing. But
you're right about how you can distinguish what you actually can and can't portal on, which is helpful really in a game like this. Otherwise, it's just chaos. It's not fun for anyone.
Kill time's a lot quicker than Halo, and it feels nice and twitchy. It's really fun. The beta's free on Steam, so if you're feeling like a
I'm curious
PC shooter,
about the console release and if that's also
is it on console?
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Good work.
Good
work.
No, it's convincing though. Peter's sarcasm sucks because it's so good.
Oh, he's deadpan all the time. That's why I fall for him.
But I wonder, is that a free to play kind of thing as well? And I'm assuming
it's free to play. It's going to be a free to play game.
Cool.
But the problem with it at the moment is it's been out since 2019, and they just had a few servers, and then it got insanely popular, and it is completely breaking under the weight of the amount of people that want to play it. So the queue times can be, like, it took me 20 minutes or something to get in today, and I've seen people, it takes hours for them to get in, and they're trying to add more servers, but it's not as easy as just like switching them on.
Once you're in there, you seem to be
the release back
in the cycle of players. So
yes, you don't get moved out or anything.
Yeah. It is just a weird thing to wait for a shooter.
It's
like, just let me in, man.
That's true. That's true. There's there should be enough people wanting to play this. Let us in.
But it's super cool.
Splitgate, very cool. And I'll very briefly talk about the last thing that I played, which is another shooter called Storyteller Demo.
Wait a minute. He's deadpanning again.
Oh, sorry, Will. I brought you into this one. You can go. We have to do that once an episode now.
Disgust and confusion.
We have to do that once an episode, is have Will appear when he doesn't mean to. So Storyteller...
Keep him on his toes and keep those pants on those legs.
The Annapurna Interactive showcase happened last week. Or last weekend?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Pretty recently. And when I saw Storyteller, I was like, that looks sick. Can't wait to play it. And then at the end of the trailer, it said, demo available now. So I went and downloaded it. And the concept is that you are given a header there, and you need to build a story that reflects that
sentiment.
the name of the story is someone is rejected.
Premise.
Yeah. So you build that premise by dragging and dropping preset things that interact in different ways. So here we should see him get rejected because she's already in love with the guy from the first panel. So the way that works is chronologically through the panels, and you then get to manipulate. I could have made the other a different couple get together in the first frame, and then get someone else get rejected in the second frame.
There's not one solution.
There's not one solution, no. So you can, though there is there's not that much give and take at the start. But here we have her husband died, so she found a new love, which is nice.
I love how you're speeding through this in your play. You're like, it's a lovely, wonderful premise, and you're like, boom, 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 gotta get it. Yeah, love, heartbreak, dead. She's dead. She's back. It's all good. Like, you're speed running this.
Well, it's a puzzle game, and once you see the puzzle pieces, it becomes quite easy to kind of start attacking it. But they do get more complicated. This is just the demo, and then I finished the demo. I finished all the chapters, and then I got more challenge modes. So it was now make something.
That clip, okay? Sorry, yeah. If you scroll back a moment, you put after they got married. Could you scroll back a tiny bit? And then you put her on the grave, and then you put her, and he's like, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, exactly. It's brilliant. It's very funny.
That's fantastic.
The animations are really cute.
Why am I in front of this grave?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know who this person
Who's this woman?
That's amazing.
Sorry, go on.
Come on.
Yeah, it's just like how do I find a fun solution to this puzzle that's in front of me?
This is a great solution.
That's wonderful.
She dies, he gets remarried, she comes back to life, and so therefore they can't be together anymore.
But there's got to be heartbreak. See, it's everyone heartbreaks.
Yeah.
So I need to make... So he's heartbroken, and now I need to make both of...
What's she doing here? Is she coming back to life, or she's going to heaven?
She's come back to life.
Revived.
Okay.
So it's but isn't it that...
then he died.
Okay. It would need to be that she comes back and gets
married
to the woman or something, right?
No,
Yeah,
married.
so
He said that she died. He married someone else. Then she comes back to life. Oh my god, I'm so.
It's a tale as old as time, Stephanie.
Yeah.
The demo's on Steam, and it's takes 20 minutes or something to play through what's there now. But it is promising to be a very, very cute, cool game. He doesn't want the poison.
No, but it was that they got married, and then Eleonora was in front of Poison going, why? I'm new to this story.
I'm not drinking that.
Super cool.
And I love that the previous
it.
one had that little thing up on the title being like, there are multiple solutions. So it does tell you, I assume, when a puzzle has one solution versus there could be a couple of versions of it. Aww. Sorry.
Sad.
She's just chugging that poison.
But I won't spoil solutions. I'll try to just skip through, but seeing there's different chapters that have different styles of things to interact with.
That's
it's
wonderful.
Very cool.
Indigestion was the name, was the story.
Yeah. So that was one of the challenge ones. It's you've already finished this story, but now go back and give someone indigestion.
Oh, cool. Oh, it's freaking. Because I did think when I saw the demo, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I love this idea, but it might be. You know how Scribblenauts was an amazing idea for a
amazing
video
concept,
game that kind of never really realized itself, and I got worried that this would be like that. But I guess that it's more like it's it is a puzzle and you're just using jigsaw pieces to sort of put a story together, which is
who's going to die now, Peter? Though they're both dead. Who's going to poison? She's coming back.
To life.
She sees that he's dead, and so she goes back to the poison
room. And now she's going to poison herself, and it's a Romeo and Juliet love story.
With a little bit of resurrection zombies in between. I love it.
Anyway,
Those are rare.
God damn it! I'm sorry, Will.
Right now, Will, it was like a puzzle piece of our story.
He was.
That's true.
And
That's
I'm
true.
here,
and then you cut to him, and he's like,
I'm just chugging the poison.
And Gus is killing himself. Cool. Okay. Well, that is a very
delightful,
gameplay week.
Dude.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I reckon you should all go and play it. But I don't know how much is going to spoil the main game. I don't know how much game there's going to be in the full release, but I loved it.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Very cool. Angus, what have you been playing this week?
A couple of things this week. First and foremost is a game that we were all playing. I thought I'd quickly touch on the fun session we had earlier this week with all of us, and we also had old mate Barjo and Jens. We all played a bit of Dread Hunger after your suggestion, Stephanie, which was a romping good evening of treachery, icebergs, and polar bears killing co-workers. It was great.
Yeah.
This is obviously Nick's perspective, as we all played about, I think, 3 or 4 missions, and after Steph took us through a very thorough and very appreciated tutorial of how to play this game, because it is there's a lot going on in this, and I
get very serious when I'm trying to teach people. I'm like, excuse me, everyone, pay attention, please.
As you should with a game like this, because I felt like if you hadn't, the amount of errors and confusion would have just gone on. Which is, look, it's fun when these games.
It's also because I had the first time I played Among Us, I spawned in as an imposter, and so people were like, Stephanie, what was the last task you did? And I was like,
I killed someone.
I don't know. What's the task?
Yeah.
So you don't want a situation where you kind of give yourself up because you out yourself because you just don't know how to play. So
that was the important thing that you took us through, which is hey, there's a few things here you should know if you're going to be a thrall, which in this case is one of the imposters. And there were things like, oh, your HUD will change to have a skeleton hand on it, so don't be the person at the start of the game going, why have I got a skeleton hand? Because that'll just obviously ruin the game. And then even Pete, you were mentioning some things like you'll have an item which the thrall, the bone charm, I've got a bone charm here. As both we were also playing, I should mention, with LokiCat and Nitrotex as well. And yeah, basically it was cool that there were some things that we really could have tripped up on that we didn't, that we'd already been briefed on. And yeah, we just ended up having a full night of backstabbing and, what I should say is backstabbing and deceit and deception from all of you. Myself personally, as a good and humble priest who played nothing but the purest and most giving character the whole way through, was stabbed in the back multiple times by all of you who never trusted me, and I don't know why. I think
none of the chat trusted you either.
None of the chat even trusted me too. Gus is sus.
Some people are just inherently sus. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the stress of wanting to prove yourself to people kind of makes you sort of sound guilty. Didn't do that.
Pissed off on map. Pissed off and tried to get shit done and came back and everyone's like, Gus is sus.
That was the weird thing. That was totally sus.
If you separate yourself from the group, then you seem suspicious. Because
incredibly suspicious.
You're going away to do weird thrall stuff, stab yourself with a bone charm and make lizards and cannibals come. But there's two maps now. So when we first started playing this game, there was just the one map. But now there's 2. They're both in the Arctic, but the second one involves polar bears, which you guys met.
We did, and we all got schooled on at one point on the last map that they are really.
Do you have that clip, Pete? Do you have?
I don't have that clip. No.
Okay, no. It's worth going to Gus's Twitter or my Twitter.
Well, it's great because we were all playing with voice proximity.
I've got to find the opposite moment. It was at the end of this round.
You'll see it right at the end of Nick's playthrough. It was great. Well, it wasn't great, but because it's proximity chat, when someone dies, their voice cuts out, kind of like Phasmophobia. And in this case, we were all assaulting a polar bear because Pete jumped the gun and didn't give me a chance to get up there with all my bear traps. I had 8 bear traps, Peter. We could have bear trapped the shit out of it.
I'll just let you know, Gus, the bear traps do nothing.
Would have helped. Would have helped.
And
from up on that point, we all got killed because the polar bear AoEs when he gets raged and attacked by too many people, sends everyone flying, and in that case, sent Barjo flying off the cliff. And a little bit before this, you see, first of all, goes down and takes off, I think it's LokiCat's head. And again, wonderful because of the proximity chat. I turned and saw LokiCat on all fours go, ah! And cuts out as the bear swoops through his head. And then Nick, at this point, turned around and begged for forgiveness from me, the priest, and also the person who'd never done wrong by him.
Forgive me.
And screamed, forgive me. And the opposing clip is just his head being taken off after screaming for... and it was just... It's very cinematic. And there were...
That big iceberg that you see there as well, my favorite moment was when Nitrotex took because in order to be able to escape the map and sail to safety, you have to first... blow up an iceberg with nitrous oxide, and you Nitroglycerin.
Nitrous oxide is how we make the
not.
boats go super fast.
Yeah. It's from Fast and the Furious. Nitroglycerin, and so Nicotex went and he was the guy who placed the explosives and blew them up, and the explosion of the ice was so spectacular. But like, I thought that he'd been kind of taken in by the explosion, and I was like, Nicotex, and then I just saw like the silhouette of his body like running out as these chunks of ice like blew away from him. I have a great clip of it, but I want to try and make something fun with it, so I'll post that later in the week.
I think, and yeah, there were heaps of fun cinematic moments. There was one when Nick and I went back to the ship that had been sabotaged by Pete and Barjo at that point, and we were just walking around not using voice chat because we didn't want to alert him, even though it didn't really work. And it was just us both silently walking around a sinking ship in freezing conditions in fog. It felt like something out of a horror movie. We were both seeing each other like and like walking around with wet footsteps. It was great. There was like cool little moments like that.
It's so well done, and it's just great because it's like you try and stay together as a group, because if you're a group, then if you stay as a group, then you're not really giving the thralls opportunities to do shifty stuff by themselves.
Sure.
But inevitably you kind of have to spread out a bit so that you can get resources, because it's a survival game and you're constantly looking for food. You need warmth. And so, bit by bit you start to become separated, and sometimes you'll just be chatting to someone as you're kind of getting supplies, and then you both go into a dark cave together and you're like, hang on, do I actually trust this person? And then you turn around and they've got a gun pointed at your head and they're like, I didn't want to have to do this. And you're like, no, God damn it. It's just so great.
The thing that I love about this is like, Werewolf and Mafia are these games you can play with a group of people, or Secret Hitler or something like that. And they're board games tabletop and they're super fun. But whenever, like, often we're translating that to a video game, it feels more like just that card game or tabletop game is now on your computer, as opposed to this feels like a game, and it's got all that fun kind of like subterfuge built into it. And yeah, it was fun to play with you guys, because Steph and I are still playing pretty consistently, so it was nice to get you guys in on some of the action.
Right.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's really fun. The crazy thing too is that's worth mentioning is that this is actually like directly ripped from a television show called The Terror, and it's on Amazon Prime. If you're interested, it is based on a real expedition, obviously real, not the cannibals and the magic and all that kind of stuff.
No, the cannibals.
Well, the cannibalism was real. Yeah, it's a real expedition that took place. You can kind of look it up, and when the ships never came, they never made it through the Arctic. They obviously got into a situation where the ships became frozen, and they tried to sort of make it back, and they starved to death and ended up eating each other a bit. They found bones that were kind of the marrow had been sort of eaten out of them and stuff like that. So
you gotta have the marrow.
The show kind of explores the kind of psychological deterioration, because the other thing that happens is that they'd taken enough food for 3 years for the expedition.
Whoa.
Steph,
you're getting into spoiler territory.
Tell the whole show.
Because it's such a good show. Like, it's so worth
it's such a good show. It's such a good show.
We have a clip.
You have to play the clip, and then I'll undermine the clip.
And the best is listening to Barjo at the end of it too.
All right, I've just got to pause. I've got to. I'll tune the audio up. We'll hear you. It sounds.
Gus, forgive me.
Nope. Dead.
I can just hear carnage. I'm gonna crawl as far as I can. But if you guys are dead, then
just Barjo going, I'm going to crawl away, and then
planes.
obviously it's a flight simulator. Barjo just calmly I'm going to die.
I had a lot of fun playing this game with you guys. I just don't like these kinds of games. I'm so the odd person out. I like these kinds of games. I just don't like them. I don't know what I've been trying to grapple with what it is about it the last couple of days, because I was like, why was I having fun with my friends but not having fun with the game? And I think
it's to lie, Nick.
I do, but it's like, I think it's the same. For whatever reason, I don't like. It's like D&D. Like, I think I just don't like that kind of like role play in a video game aspect, and the idea of like working against each other. Yeah, there's just something about it where it's just like
feel betrayed.
The feel betrayed, or like I don't like I don't
there's
like
an extra
not
bit of effort that's
knowing
involved
what's
in
going
it.
on. Like, I don't like the feeling
Yeah.
that we're not actually trying to accomplish something together. Like, because I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
a couple of days before this, we played 3 hours of Sea of Thieves, and I had so much fun. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I want to go back and play like another 10 hours of that with those people. And then we played this, and I was like, I literally just uninstalled the game directly after we finished the stream. And I was like, I will never play that game again unless
There's an
we do another
exhaustion that
stream.
comes from rounds of this that, yeah, I think there's the opposite to what you get in Sea of Thieves, which is like I feel motivated to go out there and do more. Whereas here it's like, I can't be betrayed again, or I can't have all my mates
That's so
being
interesting.
so shit to me anymore because they
I feel
think
like
I'm
I
gonna
feel
kill
like
them.
I understand it from the because I don't like tabletop games where, like diplomacy or like the Game of Thrones game where you have to like forge alliances with people and then
That's
one
so
person
funny.
just gets fucked over for ages and then you just
I
like,
love that, and that's
what's
weird.
the point?
I'm like,
I think for me because those things go on for so long, and if it's just like if find yourself in a situation where just like everyone is like ganging up on you, or there's like I don't know, I find that really frustrating, and I'm like, why am I even playing this? Whereas this, I
There's
think
another
it's
3
like
hours of game to go as opposed to 40-minute
Yeah.
sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
these sessions are relatively short, and also it's like most of you are working together. It's just that two of you are shifty, and you're working together to try and figure out who those people are. So it's still a sense of like communication. I find being the thrall very stressful because I'm not very good at like successfully lying,
Wouldn't
and
know.
I also like
Wouldn't know.
I'm so desperate to like try and get people to think that I'm good so that I can be shifty that I end up finding it very difficult to actually make a move and do something shifty. And so I'm doing all this stuff where I'm just like, hey guys, I'm just putting more coal into the boiler. Everyone's like, thanks, Steph, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I think
You're supposed to be sabotaging
What I think
this.
is amazing is that I think this setting, this concept, and this as a survival team game is actually great on its own. I'm not saying it's there's anything wrong with the sort of subterfuge and the backstabbing that comes from the thrall and all that kind of stuff, but I'm almost okay with this being unique enough to be like, if there were different variations and like if you had to keep moving through ice sections of different randomly spawned areas, and each time you had less and less and you had to work harder and harder together, I'd always be okay with that game versus this version of it that has that part of it as well, that the whole who's a thrall and who's not. And look, there are a lot of those games out there as well. I wouldn't, so it would be less original, but I part of me would respond to that I think a little bit more and want to keep playing it like a raft or the forest or something like that, I think, which but I love
think
the
it's
setting
like-
though, I've got to say.
Yeah, the setting's awesome, and I was like, it's weird because I do like I play a ton of Call of Duty, so and everyone else on the other team is trying to kill me, so why do I not have a problem with that? And I think it's because it's like there's people on your team trying to get in the way of you from like it's like I'm trying to enjoy this and accomplish a task, and you're trying to stop me from doing that, but you're not you're not being upfront about that. You're pretending that you're helping. So it just feels like
it is actually
a
the
huge-
deception element that you find that you don't like.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like I'm like, well, this is a huge waste of time. Like, what am I doing? Because you don't want me to, like, I'm going to do this, and then you're going to take that piece of coal out of the fucking thing, and I'm going to say left, and Badger's going to turn right deliberately, and I'm going to be like, well, what the fuck are we doing with our time? Like, why can't I, like, why aren't I watching Ted Lasso? Like, it's something that gives me joy. But I did have a lot of fun playing with you guys, so that's the important thing.
It was a great
That's
session,
good.
and appreciate you setting it up because it's one of those things that like you guys are still playing it, but it's like I don't see myself playing this again until there is a reason to play it altogether. Kind of the same as Among Us and something in the sense that it's like it's best played with friends, it's best played with people you have a pre-existing relationship with who doesn't matter if they want to stab you in the back, even though you're a lovely friend to them. They just want to fuck you over. That's fine as well. You just had fun playing with them. I also played Flight Simulator.
Tell us about it.
I jumped into Flight Sim, which released on the Xbox Series S and X on Game Pass, something we've all played. You've long-time Back Pocket fans will have known that I trained to be a full qualified pilot with both Nick and Peter as my co-pilots back in the day. And I jumped in because I was just dying to see how it performed on the Xbox, but also I've got some friends I'm playing Xbox with, some old schoolmates, one of whom is a pilot. He trained in the Air Force, and so this is him taking off next to me and kind of guiding me through a flight. We did a little fly around. We're actually taking off from Avalon, and we flew around some of our favorite haunts around Victoria, being like our favorite surf beaches and all that kind of stuff. And got into the multiplayer, which was really fun. Just
And
quickly,
there's the just down to the left there is the Oporto that you got a hand job in. The car park.
Jesus, Peter. I told you it was a Hungry Jack's. Fuck's
Sorry.
sake, get it right.
Goddamn.
No, what I will say quickly before Pete completely
Where is
derails
this coming from, Peter? I feel like you're just like
he fires
you're
wild and
forcing
loose.
you're forcing these wildly sexual scenarios onto like Gus's life for no reason.
He's a sexual man. Look at him.
Anything to get a laugh. Look, one thing I'll totally steer this back into the serious element of it and make it really boring, which is that the game, in the sense that the menus and how you actually navigate all the menus and all the settings is balked for me entirely. I have to plug a USB mouse into my Xbox to do any of it. My friends who I played with said it's fine, but really laggy. They obviously everything is controller based, being an Xbox. They can navigate, bless you, Nick, all the menus with just a controller. Okay, stop it. Now you're playing it up. I physically can't. The game freezes and will not move between menus. So I had to do that. I saw a heap of people running into this online. And it's a massive pain because, like, if I go to pause, I have to lunge and grab a mouse and do all of that. There are a heap of settings, if anyone's played Flight Sim before, that you need to tinker with. So it's actually really irritating, especially in a multiplayer session, which if you pause, you stay stuck in the air as your friends fly off. So it's kind of like a weird way to try and, like, stay together. But overall, it performed... Sorry?
Performance was
performance fantastic. It is still.
He's talking about it in the Orpoto. In the
Orpoto.
Hungry Jacks.
Yeah. Hungry Jacks. Fantastic. The game here doesn't look fantastic. I'm flying over Geelong. One of, probably, no offense to anyone who lives there, probably one of the least spectacle places, but to fly over. But I did play with all the weather and all the settings and had the exact same feelings I had when I first saw it when it was on PC, which is just, it is absolutely awe-inspiring and just like mind-boggling to see every part of the globe completely mapped in some way or another, and having these beautiful weather systems in place that let you, and with a friend, and now I've got another friend of mine, we go, all three of us go flying. We went over the Florida Keys. We later on we did a drug run to Melbourne by staying like no more than 10 feet above the water in a thunderstorm, which was actually really fun. It was basically who could stay the lowest on the water the whole way through. That's awesome. This is definitely falling into my category of like hunting games and all my like slightly more sort of simple real life things that I'm now sort of doing in a video game. But yeah, it's really fun, and it's fun to have some friends of mine who just love this, and we just keep coming up with things. It's like, where should we go? And a friend of mine and I went to Norway once. We're like, let's go and see the mountain. We climbed in Norway, and we went there and flew over it together. And especially in lockdown, as anyone said with the first round of Flight Sim, it's just a wonderful tool, less of a game. Again, Hungry Jack's there, but it's nice to like just have something to just I was surprised how much time I spent back in this game, and it's like VR. It's one of those things that when someone comes around, you're like, hey, I have to show you this. Where do you want to go? And it's like people coming to it fresh, I think, would be totally blown away by it. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has run into that problem, but I'd be curious to know as well if anyone's having that issue with the like how to run the game properly on the Xbox. But it's been really lovely.
Cool.
So that's been fun. And the other game I checked out is Intravenous, which Nick, you suggested this one to me, which is something I'd never heard of. But as kind of like a sort of flip on what I talked about last week, which was Blood Roots, which was a Hotline Miami inspired, frenetic, violent, one-hit death action game. This is actually, while it looks and plays very similar to a Hotline Miami, is far more in tow with something like Splinter Cell, in that it is a game that prioritizes, or at least sort of tries to push you towards playing in a stealthy manner, in a far more less guns blazing manner, and it has this great, almost like identical Hotline Miami top-down art style, and pixelated graphic style, pump and soundtrack, all that kind of stuff as well. The story beats are pretty loose and I can't say very compelling. It was essentially your brother is murdered by a gang, and you are now hunting down each gang member by being recruited by someone. They put you in a house full of guns, train you over a couple of weeks, and then you move into these kind of like these large areas, these large enemy bases where you don't actually have a map. You you basically have to explore the whole thing and find the target at the end of it. You can do that by hiding in the shadows. You can take people out stealthily. You can go all guns blazing, and it does take about 4 or 5 hits before you go down and die. So you do have a much bigger chance than playing something like a Hotline Miami. But if you die, you go all the way back to the start. So I did play a level where I probably put like 15 minutes into it. This is me early on, just experimenting and going in guns blazing. But some levels took me 10, 15 minutes to get to the target, and then one slip up and it was all the way back to the start. I'm not going to lie, that was incredibly frustrating, but it was enough to make me go, all right, I'm going to actually try and do this right in terms of the stealth and how to play it properly. And yeah, as I played more and more of it, I got really into the game's mechanics, which is that, as I mentioned, there's like light and dark. There's a meter down the bottom left that you can see. There's stealth weapons that are silenced. There's tranq guns. There's night vision. Yeah, it's a far more complex game than I originally thought as I was starting to play. I was like, oh, you could definitely, get good at this. And I got pretty good, is the best way to say it, in the sense that if you skip forward just a little bit, Pete, it gets to a point where you are playing stealth games well feels fucking awesome, in the sense that it is like you're turning lights off. You are tranking people before they even turn around. You're tranking a guy on the couch who goes like, oh, I'm feeling woozy. Down he goes into the dumpster, night vision on, turn the lights off, grab the guy in the next room. He comes in. Like, it's a puzzle game, essentially. But it is great. It is really addictive in the sense that the throwback to the start of the level is kind of frustrating, but it is just enough that makes me. I mean, that guy was on the toilet and he's dead now. And it's enough to make you feel pretty badass in a in a Splinter Cell. I'm trying to think of another stealth game. Nothing comes. Metal Gear, I guess I could say, actually, being Thief. Any one of those games. You can shoot out the lights as well. You can do quite a lot, considering it is a very retro-looking game. There's a lot mechanically going on, and yeah, I had a heap of fun with this. So I've pushed on through like 5 levels, and I'm taking out gang members, and I'm getting more accustomed with like the noise and the light meters and all that kind of stuff. And if you're dying to play a bit of Splinter Cell-esque,
stealthy action. This is a great thing to play in the interim. Does the night vision go?
If you hear it every time, if you just turn the sound up there, you'd hear it every time it goes on. The sound design's great. There's like some cool action music, but also when there you go. When you're in between it all the silenced weapons, the night vision, all that kind of stuff. The not killing someone kind of action, which again is total at odds with like Hotline Miami. It's like you walk into an area and you're like, some guy goes past you as you're up against the wall, and you're like, that's a great feeling, versus just constantly looping that kind of headache-inducing action from a Hotline Miami. It's like, it's nice. Oh, also, mouse wheel is how fast you walk and run. It's a really cool, it's a really cool little one you see in the bottom left. So when shit goes wrong, you can quickly up your mouse wheel and you can sprint out of there, but it does up the volume of your steps. So
and
it's a nice way.
From walk to run, or like up like on a
from snail's pace to sprint kind of thing. So it's a cool way in a game like this to be able to creep around as well. Like, you can really just move yourself, and as you see here, you can go prone and crawl around as well. That's a little bit confusing, because I did get some enemies, as you'll see just in this section here, who are like, hey, there's someone there. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm behind something, but you've got no height indicator that what you're in front of is a shelf in a warehouse, or a shoebox. You don't know. So you're kind of like, I hope no one can see me here. Which I was like, really? This guy definitely couldn't see me. And then all the more reason it's fun to then run into the other room, in which I do here, grab an Uzi and just go, right, screw it. We're just going to go absolutely balls to the wall kind of thing. So really, really clever mix of clever mix of genres and art styles as well, and dead. That is Intravenous.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Stephanie Ben-Dixon.
I've been playing a game that I think you've been playing as well, called The Forgotten City.
Yes.
I played it also.
Oh, you played it also? Oh, nice. It is originally was just like a Skyrim mod, I think, that sort of took I suppose, a small slice of what looks like recognizably kind of Skyrim design, and creates a really incredible involved story game that I think was so popular and won BAFTAs and all that kind of stuff, so that they kind of took it out of Skyrim and created a version of it that is kind of more standalone. It's based around like Roman mythology. So you kind of like start as a person who's kind of washed up in a river. You can choose whether you want to be, you know, a sort of a backstory for yourself. I was an archaeologist, and you explore these ruins because there's a guy that's gone missing in there, and you're going to go and find out what happened.
I was a liar.
Okay. Carrying on from your dread hunger antics.
Yep.
And I don't know what I was expecting. I kind of went into it and was like, I'm interested in story games, and I'm excited to play a game that has been spoken so highly of from a narrative perspective. But it was just so much more, I don't know, detailed and involved than I thought it was going to be. And it was just, it's really incredible, clever writing. It kind of takes the shape of a kind of time loop scenario where you find yourself going back in time to a Roman city that is kind of sits outside of time. Everyone's kind of almost trapped there, like in a kind of purgatory, and they don't really know why or how they got there, but that's just how they exist. And you are there trying to figure out who was about to do something. I don't know how much of the story that I don't.
It's funny. We're obviously we're going to talk to one of the developers shortly, so we're obviously going to go into more detail there as well. But I'm with you, Steph. It's like the stuff that you're getting into already feels, it's not spoiler territory, but I went into it blind, and that was lovely. It's just really, I've never really played anything like it, and that's always kind of the best thing that you can kind of say about a game like this, where you're just kind of going through a story experience that feels really unique and just so exciting and intriguing in terms of how you have to kind of be a detective and talk to people and figure out what happened and why things are happening the way they are and how to kind of break a cycle that's happening. So John Bibb
really,
says,
really
are they
cool.
made of gold? Oh, mate, you have no idea. You've got no idea what's going on. And yeah, sorry, Steph, I totally agree in the sense that the one word I would say for this game is it's like more than any other game I've played recently is compelling. Like every story beat, every reveal, every corner you turn made me go like, I need to keep going. Like, I need to keep going. In the way that some of the best story games are, they don't draw out that gameplay in between and then go like, okay, now here's a morsel of information and go and do something repetitive or boring. It's like everything I've been doing has been like, holy shit, it just keeps blowing up.
It presents itself, almost at face value, like it's kind of one thing. In the sense that, like, you kind of go and talk to a bunch of people and you ask them a lot of the same questions. And a lot of the time they're just like, you ask them things like, how do we get out of here? And they're like, no, I don't know. Like, of course, like, if I knew that, then would I be standing here and stuff like that? But then every now and again you go talk to someone and then it's like you ask them that question and then they kind of say a throwaway thing and you're like, hang on, what do you mean by that? And then you kind of go down this dialogue tree where you're like, oh my God, this is like really specific information that I'm really glad that I asked you about.
So I think my all-time favorite game genre is time loop games. I love them so much. I also love narrative-based games.
You love detective games, or like
I love detective games
kind of things.
And I love games where
nude kids and mechs. Yeah,
you don't get better from a skill perspective. Knowledge is what you accumulate over the course of the game. And so I love games where you could go actually solve the game in 5 minutes if you just knew the answer, but you don't know the answer. So you need to like uncover it. So this game is on my shortlist for Game of the Year. I think it is phenomenal. And to all the Pocketeers watching, if you have ever trusted me on a game, like, go play this game. This is exactly the kind of game that rewards curiosity and it just grabs you and drags you in. Like, I love it so much that I organized to get the developer on this show after the next ad break so that we can interview him about it.
And it just looks beautiful as well, though. Like, it's just like, it's the kind of game that I don't expect this kind of cool and innovative storytelling to go with the game that looks so beautiful. But because it's kind of pulled out of Skyrim, you're kind of looking at something that is just like epic and huge and feels large, even though it's not necessarily.
For my part, I've only just played the first 15 minutes of this standalone release. I did play through the Skyrim mod, and it is the most memorable story in Skyrim by a long, long way. Skyrim was like, there were side missions and there was a main quest of about something. But I remember this vividly as such interesting storytelling. And I just played the first 15 minutes to kind of, I'm going to play it, but just to kind of see how it looks and feels as its own standalone release. And while there's still some like Skyrim DNA in how it's like been put together, which is like really nice to have those touches still.
It's but barely noticeable in the,
but the way that it's been kind of modified into Roman kind of mythology, and it's brilliant to see it have its own life outside of Skyrim.
And it's made by a 3-person team, and there is some like jank here and there around, particularly like the facial animations is probably the part that like has the most, but it's completely like endearing as opposed to annoying. Like I never got frustrated. It's never like, oh, the game's not doing the thing that I want to do. It's like, oh, that's funny. Like that thing that feels Bethesda engine-y, as like it's almost like they kept that element going into it.
But it's funny in the sense that, oh, sorry, Nick, you go.
Well, what I was going to say is that the difficult thing I feel like, and I'm really curious to like talk to Nick about it, with these kinds of games, is that it's very easy to get to come to a point where you go, I don't actually know what to do now. Like, I feel like I've spoken to everyone. I feel like I've gone everywhere. I just don't know how to progress this story forward. And this game never had it for me. I played it in one sitting. Like, I played it in a 7-hour one sitting at night. And because it kept drip feeding enough information that I never was like, I don't know what to do now. But it also does the thing of like, a lot of the time with these time loop games, like I think about something like Nier Automata or something, where you go, I want to get all the endings of that game really badly. I do not want to spend another 6 hours replaying that game to get ending 2, and then another 4 hours to get ending 3, and blah, blah, blah. And this game avoids so many of those traps of this kind of genre of like, when you go through, and this is not a story spoiler, but when you go through the loop, there are times where you've accomplished something and it's like you completed a quest or you found out a piece of information or something, and it's like, I know in a normal loop game I would need to go quickly do that again, whereas here you run out and Glarus, this guy that you meet who's standing outside of like the time limit you go, he starts introducing himself and you're like, shut up, you don't know who I am, but I need you to go tell X, Y, and Z to do X, Y, and Z, and all the quests that you have accomplished, you can just get him to go, and then he literally runs off and has conversations with all those people and is like, here's that thing. This person, you shouldn't trust this person. Like, here's the answer to your problem.
It's a great solve,
I was not expecting that, because I just I told him to go and do that, and then he runs off and he does his thing, and then I kind of went about my business trying to sort of solve another thing, and then I ended up in the forum, and then I saw him like running out of the room because I told him to go and give this thing to this woman, and I was like, oh, right, that's him doing that thing that I just told him to do.
He's actually doing it. It's not just
he's actually doing it, And then I was going on.
And he's got his
going off to do the other thing that I asked him to do.
If I talk too much as well, if I'm telling you too much, just tell me you're busy. And he tells you that as a way of, again, we'll chat to the dev, but it's like, if I'm repeating myself about anything that's like, I'm teaching the first round player, you just be like, I'm busy, mate. And he's like, oh, yep, no worries, all good. It's such a great solve.
And it's such a relief. It's such a relief as well when you realize that that's how it's going to go going forward. That like, you're not going to have to do that stuff, and you're not going to undo the work that you've done because you can't be bothered to redo that stuff each time.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like you can now go discover new things, and what makes that even better is that pays off at the end of the game in a way that's like, the mechanic of that pays off in a story way at the end that is actually so just like organic to the story I just think it's like, I think it's kind of staggering, the scope of what this is, that it came out of like one guy's mind and 3 people sort of put this together. I am just like, I'm so in love with this game. Well, and if you like anything like Outer Wilds or that sort of thing, like go play this because it's just.
Well, Nick, as you said, the thing that frightened me off for the first hour was the idea that they were mixing together both a time loop-esque game with. Again, this isn't spoilery, but like a whodunit, a talk to a lot of people, and those are the games that I know you love and I appreciate. But sometimes I do find the second I hit that first roadblock that goes like, I don't know where to go next. And this game, you're right, beautifully directs you in a number of different ways, be it the loop, be it other mechanics which I won't name, in a way that doesn't feel like you suddenly get burdened with like 20 tasks at the start and go like, I don't know which one to start with now, and oh shit, time's gonna loop again or something like that. It doesn't do any of those things, which I found so refreshing, because that was the thing that was, for a minute I was like, which thing is more of a priority in this game here? But no, they managed to keep you on the path the whole way, at least as much as I've played. You finished it. Steph and I think are still going through it, and if that's reassuring.
I finished. I got an ending. Is like where
I
I'm
see.
at.
Yeah, cool.
What number ending did you get? Okay, right. Cool. Cool.
We'll talk about this later.
Fine.
We'll talk
Yeah,
about this later. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think the other thing too is just that the mystery and the confusion around what is happening is so compelling that like even if you feel you get to a moment where you're like, I'm not really sure what to do next, that is pulling you through enough that you just keep going and like looking around and investigating to the point where suddenly you'll come across something that is like, oh, hang on, what is this door? Or where is this
so
going?
compelling. This is Sentius. I screamed at Sentius myself audibly while I was playing it when he ran somewhere. I was like, Sentius, come back! And I was like, oh my god! I was just like, I was so engaged with it that it like had me on the edge of my seat at a moment that hasn't happened in a long time.
It's $35 on Steam now, and after the break we'll be talking to Nick Pearce, the director and writer of The Forgotten City. And then just very quickly rounding this out, I loved this game so much that I finished it in that one night, and then the next day I was like, I need to play something, and all I felt like was playing another time loop game, and I remembered that I never finished Return of the Obra Dinn, so I downloaded that again and didn't start I picked up I didn't pick up where I left off. I started fresh and played that. And this is like, obviously it came out in 2019. Fantastic game. If you don't know, you're an insurance investigator who comes aboard a ship that something terrible has happened on there, and basically it floated back to London and everyone was dead, and you need to go find out what happened. And the way that you do that is you discover corpses, and you've got this magical timepiece thing that rewinds time, or it doesn't. Maybe it rewinds time, or like shows you a vision that's not quite sure what it does, but like you then get to see what happened. And the way that the game shows that is that you hear the dialogue of what's going on, you hear the sound design of the moment, and then you come into like a frozen image and you need to deduce what's going on. And the way that you do that is you need to figure out you've got a list of all 60 people on the boat, and you need to figure out who these people are, what their position on the ship was, and how they died. And that's the whole game. I love this game, and I'm really happy that I went back and finished it. I think the ending was a little underwhelming for me, I feel like, compared to like what was going on throughout it. But as I was playing it, I was like, this was a game that came out a couple of years ago that like people were just like, game of the year, it's so good. And I'm like, it is so good. But it suffers from the thing that Forgotten City avoided, which is there is so much backtracking in this game. There's so much wandering around, just going like, okay, like part of it is like, who are you and how did you die, and all that stuff is fine. But the way of getting to those scenes to be able to see it is very much like, okay, I need to walk 3 flights of stairs back up here, and I need to get out of this memory and get back into this memory. Shit, I'm in the wrong memory. Get out of this memory, go into a different memory. And it's like, and all this to just like confirm a suspicion, and then if it's wrong, then you're like, well, that was 5 minutes of my life that like for something that was wrong. And so I wish that there was a way that you could more quickly move around the space once you'd seen something once. That it does speed up a bit, but not enough. And so it was funny of going like, this was such a lauded game, and then I played The Forgotten City, and I was like, oh yeah, I actually prefer that to this, but I still had a blast playing Return of the
I
Obra.
appreciate a game where the design team went, what art style are we going to go with? And someone's like, Game Boy camera? And someone's like, yeah, let's do that.
This was, I think, Lucas Pope's game that followed Papers, Please.
Yes.
And obviously, like, very different in its game design from Papers, Please, but equally brilliant.
It's just
like just a phenomenal idea, like such a great idea, like so good, so good. And Maiden Muse says the backtracking. I wish once you'd unlocked a memory, you could rewatch it from the book. That's all I want. That would make this basically a perfect video game.
It's just fucked that every diary entry says it was Gus. Gus killed us. Get Gus. It was probably Gus. I just think that's just not fair. Gus. And yeah.
Well, there was also a lot of diary entries of like Gus just wandered off by himself for half an hour and we don't know what he's doing. So that's kind of like
he had an Oculus and 2 Joy-Cons and we don't know where he's gone.
Hang on, let me get that clip again.
And then the final thing that I've been playing this week is again something that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, but I've been continuing my Death's Door journey. I hadn't actually played it since I talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. And Gus, this area specifically, like we were talking about how it's a bit sparse, it's a bit slow, it's a bit simple. It just doesn't kind of come together. Once you beat the first boss, which is the Urn Witch, and then you go to the next space, the game really starts to shine and it really comes into its own in a real sort of like
it's the Netflix equivalent of like, don't skip season 1.
It totally is. And I actually kept playing this because I heard a bunch of people talking about how it continues to just gets better and better. But then also Big Ben was like, in Slack a couple of days ago, I was like, is anyone still playing Death's Door? Because like I've put like 5 hours in or something and I'm loving it. And I was like, I should go check it out. And I've played about another 4 or 5 hours or so, and I'm so happy that I've continued. And it's just the enemy design, the boss fights as it goes just get better and better. Like, I guess it is good that it's a game that gets better as it goes. Like, there's nothing worse than a game that gets worse as you spend time with it. So, I'm really, really happy. And I'm it's really rocketing up my list for the year because it is like becoming the thing that I wanted it to be, and it felt like
cool.
it really
I think that was the reason I kind of was a little cold on it after the initial playthrough, which was that it didn't feel like it was going straight to those promises from the trailer and everything else that's there. But hearing you and Ben both talk about it is enough for me to go like, all right, I will I'll jump into this again.
And
because
particularly like the whole second area, like just there's so many great like combat encounter areas and stuff that are tons of fun. You unlock more abilities and stuff that become more like puzzle based things that are like actual puzzles, not like just like these 3 things. So
Just how long was the first area?
The first area seems to be the longest as well. Like the first area took us, like Gus, I don't know about you, but it took me like 2 to 3 hours to complete from like the beginning of the game to get to beat this boss right here. And then the rest of them seem to be like 2 hours each.
Yeah, okay.
So
and as you said, more creative and at least more engaging.
Definitely. And like even just from a visual perspective, you just go, these are ares that I'm like preferring to spend time in.
I've heard numerous people outside of you guys talk about how it improves the longer it goes on. So yeah, good to know.
Cool. Well, that is a massive list of games that we've been playing. And stick with us now because we're going to go to a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to someone who's been making one of those games. So stick around. More Backpocket after this.
Cool, that should be good. All done? Yeah, great. So we just saved them in a folder marked patrons, and so for that one it would be Mason, not Nathan.
Cool. Nathan.
No, tricky. I can see what happened there. It's Mason, not Nathan.
Cool. So Mason with an N, so Nathan.
I can't help but hear you say Nathan again. It is Mason. Mason is the fun one.
Nathan.
Let's go over this a few times. Okay, quick exercise. I'll say the word, you repeat it back. Mason.
Nathan.
Nope, Mason.
Nathan.
No, I'm thinking Nathan. Mason.
Nathan.
Nathan?
Nathan.
Ugh! Okay. Mason, not Nathan. Mason, not Nathan. Mason.
Nathan.
No, Mason.
Nathan.
Mason, not Nathan. Ready? Yep. Go.
Nathan.
Mason.
Nathan.
Mason. Mason. Mason.
Nathan. 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 Nathan.
Mason?
Nathan.
No.
Nathan.
Wait, what?
What?
The thing you said before.
Nathan.
Fucking kill you!
Always remember, it's Nathan, not Mason.
Oh my god!
Hey.
Welcome back, and a big thank you there to our sponsors, Bmac, Multifish, and Mason, not Nathan. A very young Angus Ronald in that video.
Do you know what I don't? Do you know what I miss? Two things in lockdown. I miss a crackling fire. I don't have a fireplace, and that only for me is camping. So that lovely word from the sponsor sent in of a crackling fire. And I miss hitting Will.
Bmac?
I miss hitting Will
That's true.
by a crackling fire.
And Will, I'm sure, is very happy. And if we randomly cut to him for no reason, then he would be showing that he's happy that lockdown is here, so that he's escaped your tyrannical rule. But someone who can't escape our tyrannical rule. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look, clean, baby face,
Unslapped.
That's so hard.
He's gone.
He's becoming more and more the Dickie Knee, like the show in this way more than ever. All right, it's time to move on to our next segment, where we are going to be talking to Nick Pearce from Modern Storyteller. But before we do, let's set up that game more eloquently than we could with his own words in his own trailer.
Salve, friend.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are? I don't think so. I've never seen you before in my life.
Somebody in this city is about to break the golden rule.
Some people say it's the creation of an all-seeing God who's watching everything we do.
Are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the golden rule?
How is it that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly what's about to happen to them? Salve, friend. I'm Galerius.
Salve, Nick. I'm Nick.
G'day, how's it going?
I stole that. Good. I stole that joke from Gus. That was his idea. And
Don't take the joke from me, and then when it doesn't land, or it was Gus's fault.
It landed. That fucking ruled. Nick, thank you very much, and thank you for hanging around. We went long on the initial segment, but really a pleasure to have you here. You solo developed the original Skyrim mod for this game. You're the director, the writer, producer, caterer, runner. What else did you do?
Tea lady. Yeah.
Teacher?
Just legal counsel, payroll person, HR, basically everything.
You got in touch a couple of months ago and was like, I'm working on this. You played this on Pocket years ago. Would you be interested in having a look? And then I remembered that. And then when the game came out, I was like, where was this like DM or something from you? I couldn't find it. I then suddenly remembered that I had a public facing email and that you had actually emailed me this. You sent me a copy of the game. And then I responded to you the next day and said, dude, holy shit, dude. I literally played the entire game last night. And then I went this morning and got the other 3 endings. I love this game. You've done an incredible job. What a goddamn fucking banger of a game. So I think it's fair to say that I really, really enjoyed it. The game started as a Skyrim mod, which you made yourself. When did you realize that this game was something that you wanted to expand into its own thing?
So back in 2016, Kotaku wrote an article where they said it's ambitious enough to be its own game. And at the time, I just kind of went, and then some local devs from League of Geeks invited me in for a beer, and they just they started telling me about the opportunities to get funding from Film Victoria, and sort of prodded me about why I didn't turn it into a standalone game. And I started thinking about it, and it was just such a terribly daunting prospect because I had 3 challenges. I had no budget, no time, and absolutely no idea how to make a standalone game. Just a couple of small challenges, but yeah.
And so when you finally got some budget and managed to figure out how to make a standalone game, what did you feel like you couldn't achieve in the original mod that you wanted to change here? I played like half of the original mod. I didn't finish it, but obviously I love this. What's developed between now and then?
So to me, the mod always felt like a sort of a very rough draft. And to be honest, if I'd known that so many people were going to play it, it's up to 3.7 million downloads now. I probably would have polished it up a bit more before releasing it into the wild. But so in the end, I just decided that, I could pretty much level up everything. So, the script has been completely rewritten. It's now more than twice as long at 80,000 words. It's got a new setting. It's got new gameplay mechanics, including a mythical golden bow you can use to turn organic matter into gold. So you can, boot. You can turn enemies into golden statues and then boot them at oncoming enemies and trip them over. It's got, all new, a whole bunch of new quests and characters and story beats and twists and endings. It's got professional voice acting this time, and it's also got an orchestral score from Michael Allen, a Melbourne-based composer who used to be in Things of Stone and Wood, if you remember that.
Yeah, right. So we've got a proper glam up. Yeah.
I mean, I sort of think of it as the story I always wanted to tell, but just couldn't with the resources that I had back in 2015 when I released the mod.
And was it an easy jump to go from kind of the Skyrim world to ancient Rome, or were you kind of tossing up a few different ideas before you arrived there?
Well, I'm a bit of an ancient Rome nerd, so I have like a bit of a library of books on ancient Rome, and I've travelled around Italy, so I knew just enough to know how little I knew, which is why I ended up bringing in a couple of historical consultants to help with that process. So the main guy is Dr. Philip Matijak, who has a doctorate from Oxford and teaches at Cambridge and has written 17 books on the ancient world. And the other one was Dr. Sophie Hay, who spent 20 years excavating the ruins of Pompeii, which was frozen in a very similar era to where our game is set.
Amazing.
Amazing. So I spent about 20 months exchanging emails with Dr. Matijak, who insists that I call him Matty and is an avid gamer with a wonderful sense of humour. And so we exchanged about well over 300 emails on all sorts of topics, from like costumes and customs and cuisine, art and architecture and all that sort of thing. So it was a pretty deep dive that we did into it, just to make sure that we got all the details right, just mainly so that I don't get atted by Roman history enthusiasts on the internet.
Well, honestly, being so thorough and so complete with your research and all that, as we joked at the start, like Latin plays a big part into this in terms of the language and how it's all there. As someone who was a Latin scholar myself who gave up horribly in year 8 and was like, I wish I knew how to speak Latin. I love that the character at one point is like, I can't speak Latin, and the characters are all like, it's fine, we're all just going to translate it for you. Were you a Latin nerd at school, or was this something that you
No, I don't know Latin either.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, we just have to.
Stupid language, and if I did have it done like that, it would be fantastic.
In every time travel or sort of cultural travel story, like Stargate or Star Trek or whatever, you need to find a way to explain why the protagonist is able to talk to these people. And so the simple explanation was that the gods did it. They planted the seed of Latin in your mind, and so now you speak Latin and they speak. It seems like they're speaking English to you. So job done.
Yeah, that couldn't happen at my year 8 Latin test. It was just like really frustrating.
Obviously, it's a bit of a different beast dealing with real mythology. But surely there were some similar hurdles to get through when building it in Skyrim as well as the original mod. There's the same amount of fandom that are like adamant that lore be accurate. Did you find that when putting the mod together? That like this is
the mod was
skill
pretty,
that you learned back then?
It's a good question. The mod was pretty lore friendly. I was pretty familiar with the lore of that game, which I'm not allowed to mention. And I did my best to make it lore friendly. And occasionally people would at me and say, "Oh, this is not right." No, I just don't care. It's not important. But in this case, it was it's a bigger deal because I think that I was trying to appeal to people who are into ancient Roman history and mythology, and so I had an obligation to get the details right.
Nice,
totally.
I just noticed in and I said it in the segment earlier that I haven't had a chance to get really stuck into it yet, but I've played the first 15 minutes. I played through the mod. Was modding a really important part of your growth as a game developer? And I see, particularly Skyrim, I see elements of how that game worked that we won't mention. But
you can mention it, I can't.
Okay. So you won't be able to answer this question because I was going to ask if there was a conscious decision to pull in some of those elements that made Skyrim really effective as a storytelling, and I think you did a more effective job than Bethesda at telling a story in that engine.
100%.
In terms of the way that you engage in those kind of zoomed profiles with people that you talk to out in the street, and even movement and some of the cues of there still feels like there's a bit of the DNA of the mod, let's say, in the ideas here. Is that a conscious decision?
I think that's just the kind of game that I like, and so when we rebuilt it from scratch in Unreal Engine, it just sort of happened that was how it ended up looking. I mean, I guess there are advantages to that insofar as it makes it sort of feel a bit familiar to people who did like the mod. But yeah, I just think that that was the best way we knew how to do it. So that's how it turned out.
Yeah, nice.
So I spoke about this when we were talking about the game earlier, but I love time loop games. I think it's my favorite genre of games. The hardest part of them, I always find, or I imagine as a developer, could be how much information do you give people to guide them, but not spoon feed them. I feel like this game does a phenomenal job of always pointing me in a direction, but not giving me too much information. Was it difficult to balance that? How do you come to the perfect balance of yes, you've got enough here to go on, but not enough that, because I never knew where it was going. The ending was a genuine surprise for me. So
yeah, it really is. It's quite challenging. And look, I think on one hand, you've got one of the sort of philosophical design principles is that gamers are intelligent people, or at least the people who are in our audience are intelligent adults who are quite capable of figuring out things for themselves and in fact enjoy figuring out things for themselves. And so it's patronizing and spoils the fun to just tell them what to do and where to go. On the other hand, and originally this is a lot more user friendly now than it was in earlier iterations. And so when we did sort of mock reviews a few months ago, we sent it out to some reviewers confidentially, just said, hey, look, what do you think? A few people really struggled with how little help we gave them. And so for that reason, we sort of brought in a few guardrails to sort of help people from just sort of getting lost. And one of the ways we did that is with the whispers. So it's sort of integrated into the story, but as you explore the city, you kind of, you're wandering around and it's scattered with all these mysterious golden statues. And, if you, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you're not looking, they turn their heads to look at you subtly.
It scared the shit out of me because I was playing at like 11 o'clock at night by myself with the lights off, and I was there, and then the head moved, and I genuinely was like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
And so the statues. So one of the ways we gave guidance was that the statues whisper to you, and sometimes it's just super cryptic, and sometimes it's helpful, and so at sort of key choke points where players were getting stuck and elsewhere, we sort of would give a little bit of guidance, but we generally tried to make it so cryptic that you kind of get the gist of what you're meant to be doing if you thought about it, but it still felt like you're having agency. So yeah, it is a really complex thing. And in terms of quest markers, one of the goals was like, we'll give you a quest marker if you already know where you're supposed to be going. So for example, if you've spoken to this Equatea character and you need to go and talk to her again, you'll get a quest marker, because what's the point in making you find her again? But the first time you're directed to talk to her, we're not going to give you a quest marker. It's your job to figure it out. And I think that pays dividends in terms of player satisfaction. So, you have a well-earned sense of pride at the end because you did this. You achieved these outcomes and avoided failure, and that's I think one of the best things that video games can give you that films and TV shows can't is pride, because you can't in a TV show you can't feel pride at the end because you didn't do anything, but at the end of a video game where you actually had to think things through and get to a really great outcome, then you should absolutely feel proud of yourself.
Well, I think it also kinds of, it promotes exploration more than kind of just giving you sort of a job listy kind of mentality. When you have a bunch of people to talk to and a bunch of quest markers to get through, it can kind of feel a bit more like a sort of a chore to kind of tick things off a list. Whereas, I might have the intention of going to find where this person was, and in the process of that, while I'm looking for them, I find a little hidden door and then a passageway, and then I end up in someone's room, and then I'm sort of looking through letters, and then I discover all this stuff, and I've completely forgotten about the thing that I'd set out to do begin with, which is such a more enjoyable way to play a game and discover things for yourself, because you're not given those markers to direct you immediately to the thing that you want to do first.
Yeah.
It's such a thing as well to second what Steph was saying, like as someone who's just played through like sort of 2 or 3 hours of it recently, Skyrim being such a wonderful open world, like did fall prey to occasionally just like follow a quest marker, and you put your blinkers on, you weren't really paying attention to what was around you because you were following that. And that was, as you mentioned, something I really appreciated, which is that someone would tell me a location, they're in the, the Apollo, or in the forum or something, and I'd go there because I knew where that was, not because I was following a quest marker. And then, as you mentioned, the whispers are such a wonderful aspect to guidance without being just text on screen or a marker. They're quite like atmospheric in the sense that they're, that it does feel like someone's watching over your shoulder. That is, until when I press the button too many times and it just goes, you need to do it yourself. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, like, this is the point where like it's not going to guide me anymore. And like I had a little laugh, but I also like had a chuckle knowing that you guys were like, at this point, like we can't help you with everything. I was like, all right, well done. But yeah,
it's all up to you, I think, is what they say. Yeah.
I a little too more aggressively, like just sort of shit out, guys. Just
uninstall the game.
Nick, can I ask you? I found there was an interesting point in the game where I was in a conversation with one of the characters who kind of presented me with a task that I could choose to do or not, and there was a kind of like a little tip down the bottom that said, "Tip: if you want to avoid action or horror, you can just skip this. You can just decline this offer." And I thought that was really interesting, because it was like, that must have been a difficult choice to make, because on one hand, that was kind of giving me a bit of a spoiler of what I was about to encounter by, accepting that quest, which I did. and I really enjoyed it and stuff as a person who enjoys action and horror. But when I was doing it, I was totally like, okay, I get that as someone who has gone into this as a more of a narrative focused experience, maybe this is kind of getting them into something that they weren't expecting and maybe wouldn't enjoy. How did you kind of arrive at the choice to put that in there? Because we've had conversations around accessibility and stuff on the show, and that was a really interesting thing, I thought. Like, what was that sort of thought process in putting that in there?
Yeah, like as you say, you know, we're trying to appeal to a few different sort of groups of audiences, and one of those people is people who just like narrative games, and for some people, you know, in testing, they just really struggled with the sort of the action and combat mechanics, and they just don't enjoy it. And so I just sort of asked myself, well, why are we putting these people through that? And there isn't really a good answer. I mean, on one hand, I would like them to experience that aspect of the story, but you know, ultimately, if that's the case, then you know they could get that from, you know, watching a YouTube video later if they want to. But yeah, I just think that it's important that we don't sort of force confronting scenes on people if they're not expecting it or don't want it, because it's just not that kind of game. And you know, the action, I could have cut the action stuff altogether, to be honest. It is largely a narrative game. It's really just there as a kind of intermission, because there's a lot of exploration and little dialogue, and we feel like the combat sort of sequence in the middle just, you know, spices things up a bit, gives you a bit of a break, and then plunges you back into it.
It's interesting because that, like, something coming from Skyrim as well, where the game is obviously more action heavy, and then there are those quests or story beats where some of them are more memorable than others. And I know the ones in Skyrim where I've gone, or any other Bethesda kind of RPG where I've gone, oh, this is the best version of one of these. Like, this is great. I'm hooked on this one. And then it boots me back out to the world to go and do some of the more action-based stuff. Whereas in your sense, it's kind of flipped on its head, where it's like that makes up the crux or the core of the game. And then there are these little reprises where you can be like, I'm just going to, you know, have a bit of, as you said, action or horror or whatever it is, that without spoiling things, just it's a nice way to just sort of cleanse the palate before you dive back into heavy dialogue choices and all that kind of stuff. And I preferred your way. Like, I thought that was far more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gus.
It also, that scene, like that whole sequence, and I thoroughly recommend playing it if you like. It's not scary, but it is truly disturbing what you came up with there in a genuine, like, I was like, this is one of the more horrific things that I have had to sort of consider in my mind of what's going on here. And it's not sort of like in a turn off kind of way, not in a sort of like gore horror kind of way, but in a genuine, like, this game, because this game has a real sense of humor as well, and that the world is quite bright. It's always kind of sunny. While there are terrible things going on, the characters are all kind of often quite nice to you and stuff. But then this sequence was the moment of like, yeah, but if this was real, this is what it would be like. And it's like a very confronting moment that I thought was just, so phenomenally effective.
Yeah, and I feel like playing through that sequence as well greatly impacted how I felt about the motivation that I had to kind of like solve the mystery and kind of move through the rest of the game after that as well. So it was just, it's interesting to think that it's completely playable without experiencing any of that, but also it's kind of amazing as well that it can be a totally narrative-driven experience, and people aren't going to be, hampered in playing the game if that's what they're looking for as well.
And what, in terms of development, what was the hardest part of the game for you? Because you said that you were sort of like learning how to put together a full game, and it's such a small team. What did you guys get hit with that you weren't expecting?
Look, probably the hardest part of making the game was getting dialogue, and I think you observed before that, you know, some of the dialogue in, you know, the animations are a little bit janky, and that's absolutely true. I'll tell you a secret: the number of animators that we had in our team is 0. So we had me, a writer, and we had a programmer, Alex, and and we had an artist who does, you know, like a wonderful 3D models, but who hates doing character modeling. And I'm like, oh well, we need to figure out between us. We need each of us needs to be 1/3 of an animator, and so we just tried to figure it out because we didn't really have a budget to bring in like a proper full-time animator. So we sort of it's breathtakingly complex, and look, I think I can't even begin to describe how difficult it is to create a dialogue system like that. And the way you know that it's hard is that if you think about all of the big narrative-driven indie games over the last sort of 10 years, so, you know, your Firewatch and Ethan Carter and, you know, before that, you know, like a Dear Esther and that sort of thing. Not one of them attempted to try to create animated characters, and the reason why is because it's fucking hard. So basically, you know, you start with a character model, and then you've got to have like you sort of bring it in layers. So you've got a character model, and then you have you've got to animate their body so that instead of just being completely stationary, they've got to be breathing, and then that looks really wooden. So you've got to have them sort of looking around occasionally. And then when they talk to you, you've got to have perfect lip sync. And if you get the lip sync right, no one notices. But if you get it wrong once or twice, everyone goes, shit, lip sync. And then you've got to have emotional facial expressions that are like dynamic and that adapt. And so, like, if they're happy, they can't just go. You've actually got to have them changing from time to time. So you've got to have them like so they'll look at you and they'll look off to the side of it. And so you've got all these simultaneous layers going on. In addition to the voice acting. So it ends up being breathtakingly difficult. And then, but unfortunately, I think people underestimate how difficult it is. And so it's very sort of easy to criticize. Oh, and I'm not in any way suggesting that our stuff is perfect, but, you know, considering we didn't have an animator on the team, I think we did an all right job.
It's bloody good considering that, and that there's no people reading, or like there's people reading from letters, sure, but there's no doors where just voices are on the other side of doors, and you're like, oh, come on, like, don't just come out and talk to me. Like, you've got a full, as you said, 20. How many people are in there initially? Just as someone who's just picked it off, it's like 24 people are in the
yeah. There's like 29 in total, but yeah, and I think 29 voice actors.
And they're also all on like they're on their own loops and stuff, and so you can interact with any of them at any time. So because there would be moments where like I would talk to someone and then the conversation would end and they would start to turn and walk away, and I was like, oh shit, actually I forgot, I wanted to check one thing, and then I'd be like, talk to this person again, and you could like they're walking away and you could feel the character be like, are you fucking serious? Because like I'm halfway down the steps. Okay, fine, stop, turn back around. Yeah, what is it that you want? Like we literally just ended this. Why are you talking to me? So yeah, it's phenomenal.
I feel like quickly, Nick. Sorry, like while you're just quickly like sort of complimenting about it as well. Like I felt that the game was so atmospheric from the beginning, but the time loop mechanic is so great in the sense that when you first enter this space, and I've got to compliment you on the fact that you can press E to just like slow walk behind a character as they talk to you, like just something. Oh man,
so good.
Like Bethesda take a note, or anyone else, like just being able to like go on rails when you need to was just so delightful.
Just let me listen. Don't make me plod after you.
And don't make me walk in front and behind the character while they're going behind and in front and all that kind of stuff. And so the first walk through that space,
if you lag behind, they're like, hey, keep up.
But which makes that first walkthrough so atmospheric and so wonderfully cinematic. But then the idea that if you were on some kind of Groundhog Day version of it, the next time you come through, you're like, can't talk, and you just run off and you run past everyone who's like, hey, nice to meet you. And you're like, no time, and you just keep running. It was just this like wonderful, but it played into the actual like story of it, which was just like, I know what's going on, guys. Just leave me alone. So yeah, it was a lovely feeling.
Do you have any contact with Bethesda at all? Is that a thing? Or are you just like...
We don't talk about Bethesda.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
I mean, we are in touch.
Yeah, okay. Cool. I was just going to say, like, it's so clearly a story-first game design, and there's so many beautiful little touches in it, like that follow mechanic that lets you just enjoy the conversation that's happening with you. And even like, and again, I've only put in the first 15 minutes of this version of the game, but when you first fall down into the city and you're underwater, the story, like the dialogue paused while I was underwater until I re-emerged, and it was like, and then it just, that voiceover came back in, and I was like, that's nice. That was nice. I didn't want to miss a word just because I was surrounded by bubbly water sounds.
Yeah.
And we put in a fair bit of work. Okay.
No, you're the developer. I didn't do anything on this game, so tell me about it.
I was going to say, no, we've put in a fair bit of work into quality of life features. So, you know, things like that auto follow feature, pausing narration at appropriate times, zip lines, totally historically authentic ancient Roman zip lines that you can just allow
That's
to
why
play.
my
Just
challenge for the village was kind of like, no time to talk, I've got a zip line.
Yeah. I mean, there is an in-game story reason why it exists, but it's and yeah, of course, as Nick was talking about before, the ability to delegate quests that you've already resolved in previous time loops. That was a big one. So, look, and the way that came about was that when I was sort of rewriting the script, I went back and rewatched all my favorite time loop movies like Groundhog Day and Source Code and Edge of Tomorrow, and one of the things that they all can do because they're films is cut. So when Phil Connors in Groundhog Day wants to go through something again, they're not going to show you the whole day, obviously, so they just cut, and in some cases you just see the same scene over and over again playing out in different ways. Yeah. You can't do that as a game developer. It's just impossible. So I had to think about how I was going to allow the player to get back to exactly where they were without it being a drag, and the idea that I had was just to give them the ability to delegate. And I've got to tell you, that was a massive pain in the ass to program as well, like just getting that to work and getting it to as well. So it was a huge headache.
It's so paid off.
Again,
it's so great.
And he's got his own dialogue with everyone. Like everything is, and like there must be an order that he needs to go through. Of like, there's a priority list of like this needs to happen before this. Like, I can imagine. But like, if you've done this and you haven't done this quest yet, then this needs to. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Because again, like that could have been implemented as a feature, and for a lot of people playing the game would have been totally fine. Is that you go talk to that character and say, "Hey, do these things," and in the background somewhere they got checked off a log and nothing else needs to happen. I just know that as I play, that's done. But having the character go and do that is such a beautiful finesse to go, this character exists, all these other characters exist. This isn't about just like skipping a few pages in the book, skipping ahead to where you were. It's like that's all happening still. The story is still happening around you.
It's so amazing. And because some of the stuff he does triggers events of other things that happen and you forget, and then you're running through the world and then I'm watching some massive thing happen and I was like, oh yeah, and then I keep going because Gallius has got it.
And then the cherry on that, and I really feel like this is where this is why I love it so much. The cherry on that is at the end of the game, and it is totally non-spoilery, but like the fact that character goes and does that has a narrative payoff, and that is so genius that like there is this mechanic that's actually a quality of life thing, pays off in a meaningful story way that is so elegant and I didn't realize until like 3/4 of the way through, and then it clicked for me of like what was going on. I was like, oh, this is so fucking brilliant. And I would just suddenly sat there for a second. I was just like, I'm so glad that I'm called Nick and he's called Nick. Like that's just games can make me proud. So wrapping up, what is next for you guys? Like such a huge part of your life, it seems like, has been the journey of this game, I suppose, like the mod and then this version. It's not a live service game unless, I mean, Outer Wilds
you haven't got
necessarily
the
need DLC, but
it is.
But maybe there's not a battle pass coming. So it's kind of like you're done with a bit of post-release support. What do you want to do next?
Well, I've been working for about 80 hours a week for the last 4.5 years without a real holiday. So I am most looking forward to just slipping into a voluntary coma for about 3 months. But in and around that, I've got tomorrow I've got back-to-back meetings with 8 film producers, and it's sent a whole bunch of investors coming out of the woodwork. So it's a crazy time, and all I really want to do is sleep. But I'm just sort of trying to explore some other options at the moment. Before I just disappear for a while.
That's wonderful.
Oh, that's
news,
so
mate.
good. Because this would make such a great movie. Such a great movie.
Lord Phoenix says Forgotten City Battle Royale when?
And just think of all the stuff you can cut when it's a film. You can just cut all that
after
stuff.
the feature film.
No, that's fantastic news, man. That's great to hear. And
well, thank you very
deserved.
much for your time on the show tonight, and thank you so much for this game. I don't know if you're watching chat during this and during our initial discussion, but the amount of people watching who've been like, just bought it, downloading it. That's it. I'm getting it now. I want to get this game. Like,
Thank you very much.
We knew that this was like a game that our community would respond to so much. And just thank you for like a peek behind the curtain on your process. And we wish you the best of luck for everything. And I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with next.
Thanks everyone.
Oh, good.
Thanks, mate.
Goodbye in Latin.
Yeah, that private school education was really worth it, Gus's parents. That was phenomenal.
What a shame.
What a great interview. What a dude. God.
Cool insight into the process and all that kind of stuff
Totally.
that I feel like people often especially larger developers and stuff like that kind of are very hampered how much they can say and talk about and stuff. So it's nice to be able to hear it. Insight into the process that is kind of really honest and candid. It's nice.
I'll stop talking about it after this now, but like this is one of those games where it's like I feel like this is like one of those catapulting career games of just going like, it shows if this is what 3 people can do and like it all came from his brain. This is one of those like set you up for life as a studio kind of like ideas. And
that's why I was kind of wondering.
Sounds like what's happening.
Wondering about Bethesda, because if you're a company like Bethesda and you make a game like Skyrim and then you see someone, obviously like a lot of people doing cool things with mods and stuff like that, but when you see something like this and you would be sitting there being like,
Why didn't we do that?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying before. Which
Why
is
have
like
we never
the best
told a story
moments in
that
Skyrim
good?
was that one mission where someone's like, I'm going to rob his house at night. And then at night, an NPC walks into a house and you're like, amazing that they can do that. And he has a fucking, whole city of these characters with like interconnected stories that happen on a time loop. I'm like, whoa. This is actually the amazing version of that. So yeah, you're totally right, Steph.
Cool. All right, we're going to go to a very short break and we'll be back with more Back Pocket after this.
Food for jellyfish.
Oh, that's
until we get there.
No, Nick, no. Nick, come on. He was asleep. He was happy.
Send him back
to hell.
No.
Oh, the sound he makes when he goes out, it's like
raising the ankle.
You're a monster.
You get booped?
Mm-hmm.
Believe you.
Instead of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen. Beautiful and terrible.
I'm going to die in the water.
Oh my god.
Merman.
I got hit by lightning. I'm on fire.
What is going on?
Here, how do I put something on the ground? Here you go, take this.
Oh, thank you. Yes. There's some pressure. But I got crack to get me through.
Here at Boxwell, we can box whatever you want. You got something that needs a box, we'll have the box for that thing. We can put books in boxes, pillows in boxes. I've put tins of black beans in boxes. One time I put 32 VHS copies of the film The Boxer in a Boxwell box. Basically, you bring it in and we'll box it. Well, because we're Boxwell. Last week, a lady came in with a wooden box and she asked me to put that box in a Boxwell box that was bigger. She didn't think I could put a box in a bigger box, but I sure as hell did. I put that box in a bigger Boxwell box and I showed her, and she fucked right off. Put a body in a box. Yeah, boxed a couple of bodies, yeah. No, not at work. Yeah, Boxwell boxes are the best quality boxes money can buy. So in order to protect that box, every time we box something in a Boxwell, we make sure to put that Boxwell in another box to protect the Boxwell box from being damaged by other shitty home brand boxes. No one takes boxes more seriously than us, not even Michael B. Jordan. Little box joke there for all you box lovers. Michael B. Jordan, of course, Michael Box Jordan to his friends and family, of which I am one. I know him. So when you need it boxed well, use a Boxwell, because no one boxes boxes like Boxwell.
Which is lucky, because I was originally going to get you on to cut the playbacks.
Welcome back, everybody, to a very cozy back half of the Back Podcast. No, it's not the Back Podcast, it's Back Pocket. Sorry, wrong IP. Thank you very much to Tomaharmamamamamamamammathy and Belly Kate and Drunkenafropanda for the word from our sponsors there, and of course to Robert Boxwell for being a massive supporter of Back Pocket. And another supporter of Back Pocket is the team behind the Oodie, because the Oodie people sent us a bunch of Oodies and were like, hey, you guys need to stay warm during some Back Pocket recordings, so have an Oodie each. Gus is rocking, what are you rocking?
Pizza. I'm rocking
Pizza
Oodie.
William?
I have no idea what that is. I wouldn't even know how to put like a name to it, to that kind of child, whatever that is.
And to be clear, Will owned that Oodie already. That was a purchase.
That's true.
Yeah.
Stephanie, it's from my mother. Stephanie,
this Oodie is from my mother. Damn it.
Well, it was my niece's birthday, so I actually got this one for my niece. So this is actually a child-size Oodie.
There you go.
It's a good size.
It's you.
I'm in the avocado.
That's just a jumper, Steph.
That's very nice. And I'm in Winnie the Pooh. This is I got Winnie the Pooh. I got Eeyore.
There they are. Yeah,
there they are. So this is the Winnie the Pooh one. Will seem to have been muted during
that was on me. That was entirely my fault.
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm just
cool.
a bit dumb.
Will make great
You're
jokes,
very cute though.
No, I make up for
Tell me what is on your Oodie, Will? 'Cause I've got no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Got no idea. I couldn't pick a species.
That your mum?
My mum?
And if you want an Oodie as well, then you just need to go to the Oodie website, which is theoodie.com, and pick the Australian website. Or there should be a link in chat coming up any second now, and you can use the code BACKPOCKET to get 30% off your own Oodie.
$30.
Sorry, $30 off. $30 off your own Oodie. But if you live in Norway, you don't get $30 off. You get 25% off your order. So I don't know what the Norwegians did to anger the Oodie gods.
That's weird.
But if you live in Norway, what you should do is buy multiple Oodies, because then you're actually getting a better saving. Do you know what I mean? So like the bulk purchase of Oodies in Norway pays off more than the single purchase of Oodies. What the fuck is happening with
Oh, now he's a Mando.
I still can't pinpoint what exactly is on my Oodie.
My God, even his voice sounds modulated like it's meant to be Mando, even through that. That's amazing.
This is the way.
Do you know they're doing very well in Norway? I think most people are. They get like from age like 20, you get a salary just from the government, so they can afford 25% off an Oodie. Like
that's true.
They make so much through like whale
bloody
socialists. They get over there. They all get like welfare from the age of 20. So buy an Oodie if you're in Norway and you're watching this and you haven't bought one using the code BACKPOCKET. Come on, what are you doing?
I think in Norway is one of those countries where they pay you to go to university.
Yeah,
on top of what they're already paying.
Norway's doing it right.
Yeah,
just to be Norwegian.
Just to be Norwegian.
That's the job.
Yeah.
And I will say that I saw a lot of Oodies on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, I'm sure they're fine. It's the warmest goddamn thing I've ever put in my.
It's very warm.
Body. It's incredible. It's incredible, and it's so snug. So thank you very much to Oodie, and remember the code is BACKPOCKET. Head to the Oodie website, get $30 off a BACKPOCKET. Unless you live in Norway, then you know what you did. You know what you did, Norway.
If you're thinking about buying an Oodie, now's a good time.
Is it wrong that I got the pizza one, so if I spill pizza on it, it just blends in?
Yeah, that doesn't track, mate.
No.
That's.
And if Pete, if you spill avocado on yours, you're fine. And if you spill, what is that?
Space macarons.
There you go.
There you go.
What is
I
going
like
on,
this
really?
character. No, Will is like our version of the Stig. He's like.
Remember? No, the space macarons. Remember when he eats little biscuits and they're just so obviously macarons? I'm sorry, that took me a moment.
Yeah.
He eats eggs of them.
And Steph, when you spill panda on yours, it'll blend in fine too.
Yeah. Just washes right out.
Okay, good. Did I change my hat to match my Oodie? Says Defuncanator. I did not. This is it's a new hat. It's a dinosaur themed hat that I bought with my son. He was very excited that it arrived today. But I was wearing this the whole show. All right, it's time to move on now to the next segment, and that is a segment we like to call Very Good Gameplay. Brought to you by Avexia.
A very good patron.
Avexia, a very good patron. I won't say the best because, unlike Gus, I don't rank our viewers as to who is my favorite all the way down to least favorite.
Oh, you're missing out, Nick. You really must.
It's such a joy. It really helps.
Try it.
So thank you very much to Avexia for sponsoring Very Good Gameplay. And today's Very Good Gameplay segment, we wanted to do this is almost more of a backseat gaming than something else.
Yeah.
Because we've been curious about a game, haven't we, Peter Burns?
We sure have been. We've been looking at the Ascent in the lead up to its launch, and have seen a bunch of people saying a lot of good stuff about it. So we wanted to play a bit of that. I've been playing a little bit today just to get past the tutorial. But before we jump into it, I've got to show off a very exciting thing arrived, and that is
a Mexican controller.
The back pocket Xbox Series controller that I got made at the Xbox Design Lab and shipped with like Postmate across.
Lovely.
It's the pockety controller. It does say back pocket. There's like a little inscription on it there. It's probably not clear. And unfortunately, the orange was as close to the kind of our pinky salmony color.
I like the orange, dude. I really
do like
it.
I think it pops, but it's just like it's not the color, so it's just like a little bit not back pocket from that.
But
It's
you know what that means. I'd be willing to change all the
we got to change
salmon in all our design to orange.
That orange?
I really like it.
It will definitely help us to either not be sued or definitely be sued more by Patreon.
Yep.
Someone's asking who designed it.
That, guys.
I did with help from the Pocketeers in the Discord because I ran a few passes past the eyes, their discerning eyes, and got some tips. But I'm super happy with it. I love it. Like I almost didn't go with the colored XYAB, but they were like, it's
what's the
like
other option
M&Ms.
if they're not colored? Can you go? With
you can go with like you can go with a
like
more
the
like
elite
classic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more in line with the color and stuff.
Do they have
these
to be-
have the colored backs as opposed to the colored letters as well.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry to go on about this, but if you choose the non-colored ones, do they have to be black like the one on your red one was, or can they be like white?
No, get like there's like 8 different options for everything, basically. Cool. Yeah. But anyway,
I would look into it, but I
don't
want to go through the same hassle. I know Nick is now totally sold on the idea of getting one and post-shipping it through some US person. I still don't
Not
have
only am I sold on the idea, I'm literally on the website now.
You were doing it like when Pete showed us the first time round, and like I'm still waiting for it to become like Australian or be able to be posted out to Australia before I fall in love with my controller. But Nick, I'd love to see your design before you send it off.
And give me notes.
You know what?
That's why I'm here.
So anyway, here's the Ascent. I haven't fully mixed the volume, so let me know if it's right levels wise. But I'll get stuck into it.
This is cool because I feel like you're at the point where I've gotten to in the game, and maybe Nick, you're on the same train as I am, in the sense that I liked everything I saw about this game in the lead up. I liked obviously Cyberpunk. I think it's great. And
I miss the stairs.
There's the stairs. And I like the idea of being a twin stick shooter cross Diablo loot.
Oh, it looks awesome.
But the beginning stuff is actually, I would say, probably one of the worst beginnings to a game I've played since the 90s, which is you start in the sewers. You start as a laborer who's down there switching off sewer pumps and like uploading things onto. Say again, Pete?
Quite loud, apparently. The game is too loud.
Yeah, it's a bit loud. It's just like it's a tutorial that teaches you to like crouch and duck under pipes and to kill little like early uninteresting enemies with basic weapons for a long time through. Like it is still really well designed, but you're literally in a sewer, and it didn't do enough to make me be awestruck by the start of the game. And I wanted to be where you are now, Pete, which is I think like, you know, you're topside, you're up with you're on the streets and you're taking out humanoid enemies. enemies with a decent arsenal.
See, I like because I'm the same as you. I got really bored and I just stopped playing. But I like this system that we've come up with, which is like we basically go to Pete, play this to see if it's worth it.
Yeah.
And then if it is,
Well, it's the same as
then
Death
I'm
Door,
like,
but I have to play 3 hours of Death Door till it gets good, apparently.
Yeah.
Hey, no. It was good from the beginning. It's great now, mate.
Okay, yeah, cool. Whereas this, yes, the opening area is pretty ugly. It takes about, and that's I think the problem with it. It's still really detailed and like look at how much stuff is on screen.
Dude, the sewer was so detailed. There was some like pullback camera shots.
Totally.
Where there were, like amazing amounts of like pipes and pumps and disgusting
And
things
everything's
coming off
animated. There's so much stuff happening in parts of the map
the
that you
lighting.
don't
The lighting
interact
is great.
it. Yeah.
It's
It feels dark and yet isn't somehow.
it's really quite gorgeous in how disgusting it is.
But again, like it's cool in the sense that it's juxtaposed to a futuristic cityscape where you are, versus just starting in the railings and banners of this like sewer where it's just things creep over the railings and want to kill you, and you're like, yeah, I've done this, and it goes on for what I would argue is just a little too long to start, but clearly the game ramps
it's
up.
no more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not that long. It just feels like a slow start.
It's not pretty, but
I do like the idea behind the game, which as I understand it, and Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's kind of like a mega corporation, like there often is in cyberpunk worlds, and our world, Amazon, and it's but the heads of the megacorp have abandoned it or abandoned the world, and so basically it's like all the workers and the underling managers are now trying to like keep the world running because it was basically run by this one company.
Yeah, so my understanding of it, and that's probably correct, but my I'll explain kind of what I'm giving you guys some context. I got out of the sewers, which yes, I'm working for effectively a mob. In making sure that this whole operation at the lower levels of this giant structure are still operating so people can survive. There's a bunch of different mobs down here, and basically they've realized they're at the end of where they're able to, like, they're kind of at the sticking point where these faction wars are just too disruptive and everyone's going to die. So they've arranged a moot of mafia moot. And so all the mob bosses are going to meet at a place tonight, and I'm on my way there now
to kill them,
to make sure, as security, to make sure it happens. Now my goodness, all the people that are killing me right now, and I'm on fire and I'm about to die. All the people that are killing me right now. Oh, I leveled up, and that means I got all my health back. Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, good timing. Good timing.
That was the bit
excellent
that pushed
timing.
me through the sewers. That was the Diablo thing where I was like, this is kind of run and gun and I'm bored. And then it went boom, level up. I was like, ooh, yeah, that scratched something. And I was like, let's keep going.
Do you get some abilities and stuff when you level up?
Cybernetics, Stephanie. Cybernetics.
You do
Show
get
me.
skills.
Show me some skills.
So
let's see that skill tree.
Yeah,
Let's put some points in some stuff.
let's
get 3% more credit.
Let me finish the story context first.
Cybernetic Oodie.
And then let's put some points in some stuff.
So
let's get Will back in here.
I'm going to this moot. I'm gonna protect them. There's one other massive faction that is not really down with grouping up with everyone else. So they're the people that I'm killing right now. I should get to this place, and I believe them will trigger a thing that goes like, if we actually want to survive, we're going to have to take some upper levels, and we'll start our ascent.
Well, it's
now
the
I
name
have
of the
skill points that
company
I haven't
though,
spent.
too, isn't it? Isn't the company you're working for originally is called the Ascent Company? But it does have a vibe of it, which is like you're leaving from the sewers and you're working your way up to the upper echelons of, like any,
I think I'm going to boost my health.
Sure.
Augmentations? Show me the augmentations, Peter.
That's like I mean, hang on.
Oh, I've got to add as well, when I made my character at the beginning of this, I made like the baldest, oldest man, because I was like, I'm Bruce Willis in this world. I feel like I'm going to be an old, if this was a film, I'm going to be Bruce Willis. So I made him bald, I made him wrinkly, all that.
He's like packing in the pants department.
This guy.
He's
wearing. I think he's wearing a cup.
Stephanie, it's an augmentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got skill points that I've accrued and haven't spent any of them yet. I'm level 5. Now, tactical sense determines the amount of tactical charge gain for damage inflicted. And tactic stuff I haven't really used much of, but I believe it's grenades, and it takes a bit to get those back. Crit hit rate, that sounds pretty tasty. Weapon handling determines reload and weapon swap speed. Tell you what, I might get to put a couple of points in crit. Aiming, I feel like, is okay at the moment.
You're doing great with the aiming. Your aiming is spot on, mate.
One thing that threw me at the beginning of the game was when you just had like a pistol. Oh, thank you, Toxic Jorg. When you have a pistol just at the beginning, there is, as a dual stick shooter, the ability to hold a trigger and do like the aim or the laser sight aim. But when I did that, I wasn't hitting anyone with the pistol at the beginning because it's like a precise aim or something.
No, you were just missing.
No, I was aiming it at the little. I think because they were the grunts who were running.
Well, look at the laser.
No, I see.
And see the bullet spread around it.
Yeah,
I was aiming the laser at these little, like, the guys at the beginning in the sewer who are running on all fours. So maybe it's a height thing, and look, I don't know. But I was like, they gave me an accurate aim, and I wasn't hitting anyone with it, and it was a bit confusing.
And do you get some kind of like AoE kind of attacks and things that you can do when you get surrounded?
That's I just did one then, which was like a punchy thing, and I've also got a grenade that you can throw, and so now they need to recharge.
That punch is totally upgraded.
That's
cool.
a slow grenade throw.
I upgraded that.
But I appreciate that it gives you time to think about it.
Yeah, it's more like a. Yeah, it's interesting. It is like I'm still getting used to the combat. Obviously, I'm still pretty early on. One thing that I love, and they've used it to promote the game, is the idea of like twin stick shooters having like not much more to them other than like keep strafing and keep pointing your bullets at the bad guys. There's a really cool cover system in this that feels more like an XCOM-y style thing. So this kind of like pretty much chest high wall here. I can crouch behind it. Now no one can hit me, but I can't hit anyone. I can't hit anyone else either.
Right.
But if I hold the left trigger, I aim over the wall, and I can shoot over the wall. And it also affects out like when I'm running around in the world, right? So I'm aiming kind of low, and now I'm aiming high, low, high.
Oh, cool.
And so
maybe that's what I was doing.
Yeah, so potentially you were holding that and shooting over their heads if you're holding left trigger.
That's definitely what I was doing.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that to low guys. You only want to do that to
high guys.
High guys. And I've noticed it is quite effective when people are upstairs.
Steph, you remember when that was my catchphrase a good
that's
game?
good.
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Hi guys.
I would be wheeled into scenes and I'd say,
you would
"Hi,
literally
guys."
be wheeled in, and we'd be like, "Oh, it's Goose," and you'd go, "Hi guys," and then we're like, "You're gonna play a game," and you'd be like, "Yep," and then it'd be over.
It's so true.
Oh
so
god!
true.
Thank God they cancelled that show.
And then they wheel me out and I go, "Bye guys."
And wasn't there a robot as well? How weird is that?
Now I think.
funny.
Oh god. Now I think the game is 4-player max as co-op.
Yeah. Avexia wanted to play with you.
It's definitely built for like co-op because it's already quite tough. Oh my god, that was the wrong button.
So wait, it is
I don't have a
co-op?
grenade. Yeah, the whole game is co-op. Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know. I just know why we're not playing it together.
Because you kept talking about how much you hate it.
That's true.
You've spent this entire
I
time
cannot
going,
kill this thing.
when I played 5 minutes of this isn't how it worked.
I just couldn't get my aim right, Nick. All right, that's it.
Oh my goodness.
Can I just say, is anyone eating? Because like I looked over, I looked over and sort of like leant back a bit, and look what I found behind my PS5.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Lovely.
Just sitting there. Just sitting there from last week,
How
ready
long
to go.
has it been there? We had to not buy it this week because Peter bought a family block last week, and I had inhaled the whole thing.
I'm purposely not buying it just because. Do you know what I bought instead? I bought a set of scales. Okay, so the opposite of buying chocolate, the thing that weighs how much chocolate you've eaten. And so yeah, I'm not currently binging on any of my vices. Ooh, wine.
There's got to be an easier way to do that.
Do you know if there is a shiny world up top? Because I assume we're still in the bowels of a corporation here, right?
We're definitely in ugly zone still. Like,
Yeah.
goodness, I'm going to die unless these guys drop some health for me.
Just gotta
I was gonna say the other thing I like is the dive roll or just the smash through the crates.
See how they're upstairs? So I'm using the higher shots.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
good.
I'm with you. You shoot. There's some ankle biters there. You're really messing up their.
Oh, I needed that health so bad.
Is it again like the comparison to Diablo I keep making? I might be like off on this, but the sense that like there is a looter shooter in the sense that you're smashing through crates and grabbing currency or just ammo, or not ammo because it's infinite.
You're grabbing currency. It is infinite ammo with the guns that I've had so far.
Yeah.
I was using my SMG instead of my assault rifle as well, and it seems to be looter in the way that extend bridge. In that I'm picking up variations of the same weapon. Sorry, it's the back button. So in my loadout, I've got my primary is set to this assault rifle. But you can see here I've got a P1 protector, which is that first pistol as well, which I don't think I can use to level 7. No, I can equip it. It's red though. And then my secondary.
I love your tank top is amazing.
It's a right gun. Yeah.
You can't see it when the stupid gun is in the way, but it's
How do
awesome.
I get rid of the gun?
Yeah. It goes well.
Unequip it. Yeah.
It goes well with his huge dick.
Yeah.
Armor, you can, Steph, toggle your headwear.
Good.
If you need to.
Put it back on. Put it back on.
And with a face like that, why wouldn't you?
I have the same face. Holy
this is a
shit.
heaps better hood. So, like,
Jeez
all of the
Louise.
design is fucking
Oh
sick.
man, Cyberpunk is just all about the fucked up fashion that is just like, why would anyone wear this? And they're like, have you seen the world? Why wouldn't we wear something like this?
That's true. This is all we got. This is all we have.
But it's also like there's a period of time when you like leave high school and you're at uni and you are trying to be as individual as possible and you have no money, so you're just kind of wearing the weirdest stuff possible. And I feel like Cyberpunk draws from that.
Yeah,
and I like it.
You're wearing a kitty tank top and what looks like a neck support from a long flight to LA.
But it's fashion.
I wonder about the co-op here because I now that you mention it, I do remember that this was touted as a co-op or a shooter. But like, if we do play a co-op, are you running in the same screen space? Are you splitting up, that kind of thing? Like, I'd be curious to see how that plays out.
I don't think there's any local co-op. I think it's all.
But even then, are you pissing
online.
off and getting objectives done way ahead of your teammates? That kind of thing as
I'm
well.
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now.
Please
do.
do.
Kind of a squiz.
Because I'm on the official.
And also another really great feature, which Gus you may not like, but is when you've got a mission objective, you can always find out where you're going because it is a little like.
Oh no, I
easy to
fucking
get
love
lost.
that.
It's easy to get lost in games like this, and it's like to just go up on the D-pad and go, oh right, it's over here.
Yeah, but the problem is when on my game when I press it, it goes, you don't know where you fucking
You
going.
don't.
And I'm like, that's so rude to me.
It's all up to you.
It's all up to you. Sort your shit out, Gus. No, I do actually really like that, and I appreciate that, especially in like that was the thing in Death's Door that while it's not so cryptic and labyrinthy, it's like a game with so much detail like this. I feel like it at least allows you to appreciate the world that you're in without going. Maybe I'm getting lost or I'm not paying enough attention to where I should be going. So no, it's cool, and it looks cool too. The little cybernetic way it like. If you just ping it while you're in the middle of a gunfight, Pete, because you're on command here, and there you go. It looks cool. It looks in style of what the actual game is. So,
Oh my god.
Nick, any update on that?
Yeah, I am loading up the game, and I believe I can just jump into it's hot joinable. So I believe I can just join.
Tell your
Pete's
mom
game.
I said hello.
Tell your mom I'm hot joinable.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh no.
Let me see.
You
Game.
can do it. Little grenade.
I installed this on my other Xbox, but I imagine Xbox doesn't have a thing where you can play an installed
stop
game
wasting
on your
this
other
one,
one,
it's-
does it? No.
What? It doesn't install. On
If I've
both
installed it on my
systems?
Xbox Series X and I boot up my other Xbox, I can't stream it to that, can I?
Oh, this would be a good spot for.
Can I do it in Oculus on a
grenade?
treadmill?
No, you can, Gus. It's Xbox Play Anywhere. So you're talking about progression works across.
Whoa!
No, maybe you're
You
right.
play it on PC then?
And you can play it on PC and pick your save up on Xbox. That's what the Play Anywhere.
That's what
stuff
Play Anywhere is. Yeah,
but I have to install it on my PC, which I haven't done.
Yes, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, those rockets.
I think Pete needs to
Open
invite
it up
me.
or something?
I don't think I can actually just.
You've made it private. You've locked it down.
Pete, somewhat Nick does in every multiplayer game, which is appear offline because can't have.
It's that literally just says status online down the bottom down there.
It does.
Let me kill these guys.
You guys not friends? It's awkward.
No, you got to start a co-op, like host a session. Then
right.
Someone just jumps in.
So it's
Silver
not
Gus, you need to
joinable.
prep for segments. I do all the prep for the segments.
Oh, that guy's so big. That's a heat-seeking missile. Oh, look at it go. Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Fuck me. Oh, good dodge.
You're
good
using
dodge.
like a machine gun that I got in the sewers. It's upgraded, but like, are you choosing that weapon class versus a bolt rifle or a rocket launcher or something else, or is this just the only thing you've got at this stage?
Well, a bolt rifle is not
You
very
picked
cyberpunk.
up the SMG in the sewers,
right?
And
You're using.
I'm using an assault rifle.
Okay.
They look and sound similar, I guess, but they're not quite the same. But the SMGs are a class of weapon. Assault rifles are a class of weapon. They also have a shotgun. Different things are dropping all over the place all the time. Assault rifle is by far the best, says Meanie. It's certainly been my go-to.
It sounds the best.
I swapped off it for a second there, and I'm immediately back to it.
Is that rocket launcher guy? Mess him up.
Yeah,
it's interesting to introduce.
Oh shit!
It's cool to introduce
How
height.
cool are
to
those
a,
heat-seeking?
They're very cool.
Yeah.
Height-based shooting into a twin-stick shooter or an isometric shooter, at least. Like, it's cool if it's fun to play, but it's definitely like something that everything is usually on a level plane in these.
Little grenade!
I don't have a grenade. It's like it's so hard to. You got to pick up yellow, like drops to get grenade back, I think. Or if like I saw in the skills here, determines the amount of tactical charge gained from damage infliction. So at the moment it's 0%. So I should put a couple of points into that so I can throw grenades more.
So that means if you do damage, then you recharge your grenades.
Yes.
Cool.
Give yourself a little breathing room.
A little bit
little bloodborne. I like any game that rewards aggressive play.
You can
like
jump
that.
over the rockets as well.
The light is so cool. The lighting is so well done.
So the team who made this, it's only 11 people. The theme of the show tonight is video games made by not enough people to make the video.
Not enough people.
Imagine how good it would be with more people.
Oh my goodness, I wasted it.
Oh, you totally messed that one up.
It's because
you can't throw it, I don't think.
It's so
Like, you just
slow,
press
that grenade.
Yeah.
I'm just staggered by the amount of people. Like, it looks like the art alone would have been a team.
I know,
of 30.
right? Yeah.
Like, there's so much stuff
Honestly,
here.
it's stunning. I'm annoyed that this. I thought I was close to the end of the run to the next cutscene, but like the city that you're in, like the backdrops are just so big and beautiful.
It's
and
cool
so
because
much going on.
It's cool because
wild.
cyberpunk verticality often is that thing of just like what's below you and what's like, the doldrums below the high rise and all that. And in an isometric game in particular, when you go near those ledges and stuff, you suddenly get the kind of, it's not really parallaxing, but it's like you suddenly see the drop away, and it's like, because it's a high angled camera.
Gives you that sense of scale and
because
size.
it's a high angled camera, you see suddenly like all the what stretches out below you, and in this particular game, it looks fucking awesome. Like, yeah. Oh, Miss Silver calling me out because I'm wonderfully talented, but being really mean about it. It's not fair. What?
I think
is
this
that
is
still the heat-seeking missile guy?
There's multiple. I think I'm meant to kill them. I think my objective is to
Sorry,
kill
has
all...
anyone instigated a chat option yet? Because so far you've shot everyone that's been in the game.
No, I think I'm meant to kill those guys specifically is my mission right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, kill the full chromes. Full chrome.
All chromes.
Obviously,
is that the name of the gang?
We're through
That's the name of those big dudes in the gang. Full
We're
chromes.
past the area early on where once you do leave the sewers, it does make up for it in a way that you suddenly find yourself in a very like neon-drenched, rainy, kind of like hub area that you chat to the boss of your I don't know, whatever area you're in, that kind of stuff. Is that where you've moved out from, Pete, to here pretty quickly?
Yeah. It was actually. Oh, that was a health thing. Damn it.
Is that where you gave up, Gus? Because is the question you're asking how long until I get to this bit?
And it's 30 seconds.
Spot on. Spot on.
So you go into
I had to play
a
Flight
city.
Simulator. I had to fly over Geelong, mate.
The city is nicer than this area. Okay, so here we are. We're at the back alley where these guys are gonna have their moot.
That's half of the dev team.
It's not just because of the angle, but I'm getting some, and definitely not the gameplay, but I'm getting some original Shadow.
Shoot them for free packs as many. Oh my god, I'm wasting all my creds.
Is it Shadowrun? Was cyberpunky game on the Super Nintendo, which was like a cool isometric shooter without obviously the action that you're seeing here, but like totally getting vibes.
Dropped
from
his
that.
grenade.
Well done.
I knew I recognized the word moot. It's the Ent moot from Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
It's a meeting
Oh
event.
shit! It is.
So this is a mob moot or a shoot moot.
This is a shoot moot.
Who the fuck?
This is actually
The hammer.
Oh, look at that crotch as well.
Well,
Oh my goodness,
this
look
is
at
the
them.
race that you see a lot of in that Neon City. It's like, there's like humans, there's maybe like a middle range race, and then there are these kind of like clunky, big, fleshy aliens with hammers, apparently.
Yeah.
The dev diary on this is actually really fascinating about how they decided to
Little grenade.
Good
design.
grenade.
Yeah, that was a good one. Oh my goodness.
Steph's on grenade watch. Get your melee up. Get close and do a melee hit.
Steph's like a broken Cortana.
Yes.
Do the grenade. The grenade.
Yeah, on like the design choices they had to make, being an isometric game and getting like aliens to look individual and cool from above and not just be little green dudes. So it's like people have big floppy ears and that kind of thing that like is clear from this angle.
Yeah.
Very cool. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Finish off, please.
I was just saying, again, it's just like all these little design decisions that you see everywhere, and it's like such a busy game, but when you stop and look at the detail in any corner, you're like, oh my god.
So you may have answered this. Are you picking up ammo or is it recharging ammo?
It recharges.
It recharges.
Ammo is unlimited.
Yeah.
And you can choose to reload.
Can they do those ground hammer attacks like across cover, or if you're like on the other side of a?
It looks like they were being interrupted by cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very much about, and I'm still learning to do this because I'm not doing it enough. But getting behind cover is the key to all these fights, and using those two tier of the two verticals of shooting is so important.
Do you find
Look how awful my character looks. All the
do you get a
turquoise.
little confused by the cover though? Like, are you getting into that? No. Okay.
There's no stick to or anything. It's like it's very.
No, I
like,
guess I meant the shooting,
smooth.
overshooting under kind of thing. That hasn't.
No,
thrown
it's
you at all?
pretty clear. It's pretty clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just really struggling with that. Okay.
But you haven't played enough. Like you get the feel of it as you play a bit more.
Yeah.
like,
cool.
Oh, that
Just my
hair
hair-
was
my hair's
just
not neon
a
enough, Pete,
choice.
clearly.
It was a choice.
He's gone for an
You
avocado look
made-
this evening in both character and Oodie.
And why not?
This is also cool. Can I just say, like, to throw a camera down in the actual cutscenes as well? Because again, isometric games often do that thing where it's all chat boxes and characters. Even the game I was talking about earlier this evening that I played, Intravenous, has characters talk to each other from directly above, and I'm like, I don't know which one you're talking. Like, it's just like the boxes coming up, and both little like top-down heads are just like waving their arms at each other. So it's cool to actually go in and see. Oh god, ragdoll!
I love rolling through bodies. Like the ragdoll's so good.
That's Dark Souls 101, dude.
Yeah.
They look so light suddenly. Such tanky
they
dudes.
were
Beautiful air.
Yeah, I was going to say they're mainly just gas. That's what it is.
Right, yeah.
Did he say Poon here?
His name is Poon.
His name is
with an E.
Poony.
Apparently I can shoot like all the vending machines and they drop stuff as opposed to just wasting money on them.
Oh,
like
yeah.
an idiot.
like in real life.
Just
amazing.
so Pete, I know you're very like
Yes,
keyed
I am.
in on the game. But I just want to let you know that Fourth Reaper in the chat said, Pete, spank me like the naughty avocado I am. And so I just wanted to put that out there.
You've always got to spank an avocado to work out if it's ripe or not.
I appreciate you sharing.
And I want to give a little tip to people out there about avocados, because it really pisses me off when I go to a supermarket and I see, like this happened a couple of days ago, at the supermarket, needed to get an avocado because I was making some guac, and this guy just like grabbed every avocado and like squeezed the whole thing to test the firmness. And it's like, he squeezed every single avocado, full hand squeeze. And it's like, you are bruising the entire avo. You need to press your thumb into where the stem goes. So like the very top of the avocado tells you how firm it is. Just press the top of that. Stop squeezing the whole fucking thing because it's just
weird,
ruining
because
it for the rest of us.
I would argue that, like, when you go to find or to check avocados, it's like the one in the bunch at the supermarket will dictate how ripe the rest of them are. And you can squeeze
they're
one
either
of them
like
and be
just
like,
out of the fridge or they're like too
it's
ripe.
like, oh, that one's rock hard, put it back. The rest of them are. It's no point in buying them. And so I agree with you, Nick, but I also think, like, if you squeeze one and it's soft and they're all on sale for $1.20, you're like, these are almost done. Grab 3 of them, make your guac, you're good to go. Like, it's weird that guy was squeezing too many of them. What's weirder is when I've gone and, like, squeezed one that's rock hard and they're all on sale for, like, $1. They're all on clearance. I'm like, why? Did they never ripen? Are these just, like, will these
Have they gone
solid?
so mushy that they've fossilized?
I'm like, I don't want to buy one that's $1.
Is it just going to get harder and harder? Are all these avocados on Cialis? Well, like, what's going on?
Seriously, I was like, pass and squeeze away, weird stranger. But yeah,
if you need to quickly ripen an avocado, then put it in a fruit bowl with some bananas.
With a banana. Yeah.
no. I'm using a controller, but when I hit T on the keyboard, I don't have taxis yet.
We're having two different conversations.
We're having 2 different conversations.
Banana not ripe enough. Put that thing in a
and
paper bag. You get a ripe banana in a day or two.
playing the video game.
Put that banana next to an
Gentle
avocado.
please.
You get yourself a ripe banana and an avocado. You're very welcome. Pete, what's going on over here?
So I believe, finished the quest. Oh, I just murdered a civilian. I'm so sorry, bud.
That's not good. Do you get punished for that?
No, I don't think so.
Just morally.
It's a brutal world.
Man, that guidance system is super important. Like, it lets them reuse cool areas and not have the player
you
just
are surrounded.
stupidly get lost in it too. Like, you can actually run through cool arenas and then be like, cool, all right, I'm gonna just like follow that red line straight out of here.
Yeah. I do like Z-Screen in the chat said, that's not as weird as the guy I saw punch loaves of bread before picking one.
You got to know if they're firm enough that you can cut the knob off and then hollow them out.
Then you can hollow it out and put a stone hard avocado in there.
Which I have to, like, Peter has just been like doubling down on that through all of lockdown. He just buys a loaf of bread every day, cuts the end off it, and then I eat the middle, aka the best part of the bread. It's
and
just
then I have the other knob the next day.
Yeah, it's actually the ideal relationship.
I'm eating low carb wraps, so I'm doing the complete sad opposite version of enjoying bread.
Working for you though. You're looking good, Gus.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not worth it. Like, just have less bread, but have good bread. It's like, I feel like I went through every phase of having the low carb, low fat version of things. And it's just like, you will feel shittier eating the shitty version of something than you would if you just had less of the version.
I would argue I'm actually enjoying, I'm trying to enjoy the low carb version of things. And it's kind of working. Like, I've lost 2 kilos in like 3 weeks. So it's I'm surviving, but I'm with you, Steph. There might be the point where I get to where I'm just like, oh my god. I mean, like, I'm drinking the bottle of wine that you guys got me for my birthday, and I've been off booze for a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for the Chalk Hill 2019 Shiraz. Not sponsored.
Yeah,
Chalk Hill's very nice.
It's delightful. And it's
different.
I reckon. Do you reckon they have
that was
wine in this
That was
world?
a fancy hamper.
It's such a fancy hamper. I realized that lavash and seeded dry bread are the same thing in different boxes. But they were both great.
So now I'm closer to the city, and I believe I unlock quick travel with taxis. People are mentioning in the chat. But now that I'm closer to the city, see, these guys are bad, but they're not immediately hostile.
Oh, sorry. Yes, this was the thing at the start of the game. They were like,
so I can avoid
don't like add aggression
with
to
them
people,
if I,
and you. Yeah,
but I'm probably gonna. Yeah, I triggered them. because I had to walk past them.
Is that just that they didn't notice you, and so therefore they?
It wasn't they didn't notice me. They saw me and they were like, "Fuck off."
Oh,
And
right, okay.
It's like
Oh, okay,
you're walking through our alley.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Sure. You encroached on their turf.
This is our shitty alley. You go find another shitty alley.
I think
That's weird. They introduced it early in the game as a mechanic that almost made me think like, oh, cool. There'll be sections where I have to like, I don't know, talk my way out of things or holster my weapon, and they very quickly after that section let the enemies jump you, so you have to kill them. And everything we've been seeing up until this point has been Peter shooting people. So I'm surprised that again, like, can you get around these guys?
You here to meet my gun?
There we go. All right, I take it back. That's
that guy walked straight past you.
Yeah.
Only 30 minutes beyond the 15-minute tutorial.
That guy that walked past me was just a
play.
civilian. There were only the 3 hostile, and there's more here.
Gotcha.
You want a dead relative? I'm just opening this
What?
chest.
Doesn't make sense.
I don't know that I can get around these guys.
That's implying that he's not going to kill you, but he's going to kill someone else.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that would mean that they would have to go and find them and not fight you.
I want this loot. I'm sorry.
And what
Please
if you
don't kill me?
And what if you don't like your family?
Yeah,
oh god!
no.
Too late. Oh god! That guy
a gang
has.
war, it's a gang
what does
war.
that guy have? A pipe?
Oh, it looks like a sword or something.
It's a cyber pipe, Nick. It's a
It's a cyber pipe.
pipe.
Sorry, of course. Yeah.
Come on.
It's a pipe mutation.
Do they have
goodness.
like a shield?
Oh my god, there's so many
I'm
dudes.
seeing like a red and a yellow bar when you're
Bounties.
shooting them.
Ooh.
I don't think they have shields. I think that guy just had more health, and maybe there's a stagger function.
Yeah,
is what
okay.
is happening with that yellow builder.
Yeah.
And so if you collect proof of the person who had the bounty icon on their head, then you get to turn it in for some.
So I believe the guy with the cyber pipe had a bounty on their head, and I managed to kill them by accident. So I should be able to claim that for the money.
Gazra wants to know, can you sheath your weapon? Because that could be alerting them.
Holster? I think you sheath a sword.
I don't think
Yeah, true.
so.
Oh.
No, this is like when you hold Y, you do a hack. So you
yeah,
something else. I don't.
You're a killing machine. It's never
was
even
cool.
entered your mind to
What was
put
that?
your gun down.
That was my cyber punch.
I want to see you cyber punch some more stuff.
Yeah, cyber punch some more
it's
stuff.
been.
mate.
It's his old fist.
I want
I'll
to see.
try.
I want to see you bend
I think I'm
4-3
out
over
of-
and cyber punch him. Like
Where he likes it,
the
where it hurts.
like the bruised little avocado.
I've got some
he
legs.
is.
Mech pants.
Yes.
Ooh.
Fuck yeah.
Those knee pads.
I've got
Cyber
a bunch
pants.
of skill points I can put into. Which
Grenade.
one was the body battery?
Boulder of light. Gun only disappears
I'll
when
put
you
3
go into
points into
safe
that.
areas. So there you go.
I still got a bunch of points, but I like holding onto my points at the start of RPGs where I'm like, I don't actually know what I want.
I think that
That's
we've
crazy.
we've got to come up with a better system. I still don't understand why there are so many RPGs that make you make huge decisions right at the beginning. Like
They should-
something
okay,
I
they
have
should
really
either-
appreciated about like Final Fantasy 15. Like lots of MMOs do this. It sounds like New World does as well. Of like, just pick whatever sounds cool, but all you need to do is pick up a different weapon, and you can now use that thing because like you thought Archer was good, but it turns out in this game Archer is the bad version of the Archer.
I think up to a certain level, they should just let you respec for free.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Like,
For
you know what I
sure,
mean?
for sure.
So that you can be like, you can kind of get the feel of things, and then you can just be like, you know what, I don't like this, I'm going to respec.
Or
And then you
like,
kind of,
as-
and then
as
you
Nick
pick, and then you
says-
pick a path and you stick to it.
Or as Nick says, and it's tied to something like Hades, and I imagine a bit like, is New World the game you played, the Amazon one
Yeah.
last week,
Yep.
Steph? It's like it's tied
Just
to
got
the weapon
delayed.
class.
Just got delayed.
I know.
Delayed. But yeah, it's something tied to weapon class means you can, like Hades, be like, you know what, I'm done with this one. I don't like it as much. I'm gonna switch out and like not actually change all the stats in my character. I'm just gonna start running with a scythe instead of a shotgun.
Machine
This is
gun.
like the stuff I was talking about earlier, where there's like it feels like such a busy city in the background where I can't. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be able to go over there because I can see a chest, but this bridge existed earlier, and a ship crashed into it and crashed into that building in the background there, and that was like quite a spectacle. So I'm sure that like just the little touches in it are really really nice. Like
Totally.
there's something going on everywhere. Oh, see, that guy's mad.
LokiCat, grateful for the delay. Me too. You know what? Because, yes, I agree, they need to get those servers stable, but also Destiny 2, Witch Queen. More time.
Yeah, and there was something.
More
there was something-
time.
There was something
That's
else
the big
coming
question.
out there.
Which queen?
I'm not even gonna. the something else is coming out right around that time as well. So
light.
the delay actually like helps.
That's pretty.
It's like it's almost too much at points. It just like flares so hard into your face. You're like, oh. But that's kind of like the sense of it, right? It's like, look at like I love this little area. Like
There's a Gosling. There's a Ryan Gosling. Go talk to him.
eh? That guy with the floppy ears. Like look how cute that shit is. And giant dudes like.
Somebody else.
Every store in
Carry
this
type.
world
This
is weapons or sex. It's like that's what a dystopian.
So I don't
future
want
of-
to do the like shitting on cyberpunk thing, but this
don't
is
wanna
what I
do
think
that.
of when I think of like a cyberpunk future where we've meshed tons of just people together who have gone, I'm going to identify as just metal and I am an alien from this place, but actually I was a person that got all these orgs. Like, whereas cyberpunk was like, I don't wear clothes when I look in the mirror, and that's about the only thing that makes me punk.
I want to be that creepy large thing that hangs out in the back of cutscenes.
I just collected a mission called Balls Deep.
Wow.
And Hans has asked me to go and cut the balls off ferals and bring them back to him.
It's important.
Oh, shit. Are they the things that were in the sewers at the start?
I don't know.
He's just fucking trolling you now because he has to be trolling you. Are you trolling him? You have to be trolling him, Gus. Tell me you're trolling him.
Wait,
No?
just heading back to the sewers? No, not trolling him at all. What do you
It's
mean?
just that like Pete's now like an hour into the game, and literally every single thing that he does, you're like, yes, it's like the first 4 minutes of the game that I
it
played,
reminds me of the
and it's like, okay, we get it, Gus. You've played 4 minutes of the game.
How I totally agree, Nick, that like the detail in here is
so cool.
Like this is what cyberpunk should feel like.
Yeah.
Like a cyberpunk setting should feel like.
Yeah.
And like there was a little bit of that at the hotel that you
the
live, the
residence you
apartments.
stay at when you go up and down the lift and you come out to that area. Yeah.
But not to the extent of this. And like while I'm playing this, I'm like, fuck, these guys would make a great Dead Space game that's like this. I would love to play a Dead Space game in this mode. I just think like they could give this IP to any kind of action game.
Arguably, the density and the scale of a cyberpunk world looks better in this aspect ratio, in this top-down isometric style. Like, there's a reason that Shadowrun, that what's the other one?
Yeah, what is the other one?
The other one is
Ruiner.
It was on Mac.
Ruiner.
It was by Bullfrog. It was called Syndicate.
The Syndicate and the Brisbane team that made the Syndicate.
Yes, this like
Syndicate
sort of
like. What was
the
that
sequel
called?
that was to that.
Something Rain.
Let's say Cyber Rain. No one's going to correct us. But yes, all of them work so well in this viewpoint and style of game. I think. I don't know. It was. I'm with you. That,
Satellite
like
Rain. Thanks,
the idea
yeah.
of being an FPS cyberpunk game felt so perfect, and then when I was in it, I was like, it doesn't have the same feel.
It's funny how all those like similar beats though. It's like
Satellite Rain.
We saw. Yep. We saw it with Gus. Bmac said it as well, and we're way past it.
Sorry.
The beats of all these like cyberpunk settings are like, it existed before the first Blade Runner, but like the fact that there's Chinese noodle bars and like it is in this, and it's in Cyberpunk 2077 as well, and it's like all these like things feel so familiar now because we've seen so many takes that have all these similar beats, but like I love this one.
You are fired.
Here's Poon.
I'm getting strong Ruiner vibes from this as well, which is a game I feel like I need to go back to and give a decent shot to. So we're gonna chop off this guy's testicles?
I think we'll chop off this guy's testicles, and it's hard to engage in story.
What is that in the middle
like
of the
this, but
table?
I think it's like a shisha kind of setup.
Yeah.
I think they're like smoking that cool tech pipe.
I love that we've all got
It's just
some
a fate.
form of neon lighting in the back of our actual shots as well. So we're kind of like, that's me.
Yeah, but we're also fucking dressed in blankets.
You're in a pink
covered
hoodie.
in Winnie the Pooh and pizza.
So cool.
You
So
can't
anyway,
even
that's like-
can't even find my testicles in this thing. It's so big.
That's a little taste of the Ascent.
Love it.
I'm really enjoying it. What I've played so far.
I'm gonna give this another shot.
this won't go any further than this stream. But Peter, if you're enjoying it, I would really like to keep playing it, and I would like to play it in co-op because I wasn't enjoying it as much as I feel like the game promised in single player and in the sewers. If you haven't mentioned, or if I haven't mentioned,
there was
that I was in the sewers.
right,
There were sewers, and they're at the start. And I hate sewers, but I would totally jump in to play this co-op and see if it's as fun, if not more fun, in that style.
Yeah, I think it's a good level of challenge, and I think that will scale with having two people, but also will balance out and being able to like kite enemies in interesting ways, and
some of us know how to use grenades
and create like good kind of bullet funnel channels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think it could be like, and you're right to reference Diablo in a co-op sense of it feeling like a troop moving through a very like dangerous world. It's just like an exciting thing to be doing together because it's like someone could just drop dead at any second. You're like, oh shit.
I also loved, I think you, me, and John played through the majority of Diablo 3 as well. And again, I keep drawing the comparisons to that, and I know it's not
I
directly
remember playing that with you guys.
But I didn't think I'd get through more of that game as much as that game that I did. And that was purely for the fact that we were playing co-op and that we were like, keep coming in, let's keep plowing through the campaign. And I get similar vibes from this, but in a play style that I actually probably prefer. So I'd really be keen to keep playing this.
Cool.
Yeah, if you'll have me.
And that is The Ascent. Look what 11 people can do. That is also the end of the work of 6 people, because that is the end of Back Pocket for tonight. Thank you very much to everyone for hanging out. Thank you very much to Oodie for providing the Oodies and providing a code for people to get their own Oodies. All you need to do is head to theoodie.com or the website that Nightbot will spit out here in a second. Use the code BACKPOCKET, get $30 off your purchase of an Oodie, or if you live in Norway, you get 25% off. I don't know if we have any Norwegian viewers.
Saw a lot of people requesting a pockety Oodie. They do not do one, but demand one. I'm sure we could get, if demand is high enough, supply will follow.
Yeah. You don't know that.
Of course I don't know that, but I'd like to, get the crowds, rebelling enough to demand that from Oodie.
Yeah, good. I also like the fact that Gus going like, they don't do one. If they did do one, we would have to have like a lawsuit conversation with them because they would be taking our brand and making something against our permission. But if they want to do it, we'll totally take it. Thank you very much to everyone for watching and hanging out tonight. It's been a real pleasure. And again, thank you to Nick Pearce for coming along for a really wonderful interview about his game, The Forgotten City. We are not going to be long gone from your screens because we got the post show coming up. But then also we've got the Game Club stream tomorrow, and that is the Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life recap. It seems like it's like the shortest game that we've had, and it seems like an age ago that we announced this, so it's like a long time has passed since that, and so it'll be good to finally put a bow on that, even though Gus and I did just finish it yesterday. So it'll be good to be
Steph,
able to...
I don't know if you know this, but like I thought I'd finished it, and then I looked on the ground on the sand, and there was another book and a sword. I'm like, oh, there's another tall tale. So I was like, quick, we got a tall tale
down here.
That's so funny.
But it was perfectly timed, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, how we felt about it as well.
For me, for people who watched our Game Club streams, it was nice to go back and play the final mission with you guys so I could actually see the story beats happen instead of
we
missing every
distracted
single
Pete
one
appropriately in every story beat just so he wouldn't see it. So it was wonderful.
And now that'll be happening tomorrow. Do we have a time locked in for that?
I think we're going for 1 p.m.
I think we were going for 1.
One-ish.
I feel like 1 would be a great time to aim for. So be ready for 1 p.m. And we'll go from there. Thank you very much to the mods in chat as well for keeping everything going. Gat, Syntax Error, Kit Carnage, Lizdalia, Sithcat, Phoenix Alliance, Disturbed, Jex, Caboose, and What the Shark. Thank you very much for all of your hard work. Thank you as well to those same mods for helping the Discord run so smooth. So smooth. The Discord goes down smoother than this.
Than crack.
PS5 hidden crack. I'm sorry, Steph.
Smoother than a 2019 McLaren Vale Shiraz from your friends.
I want some.
I know you do. I'm really sorry. We are going to be back with some post-show action for you in a second. That post-show is brought to you by Raj. God bless you, Raj. I still haven't called you back, Raj. I need to call you back. Yeah, I've told. I don't know how many times I need to tell this publicly. I'm a terrible friend. I'm a bad friend, and I'm really sorry about that. I need to call Raj back. Every day I'm like, I need to call Raj back.
Nick?
Yep.
You're not forgiven.
But also thanks to Reese, Oranishi, !Tim, Mason Nut, Nathan, Slowpunk, LokiCat, Akarash, Camo, Avexia, Nakotex, Boxy, The Coastal City, Max Stress Games, Vegabus, and Timothy for your support. I made a tweet about it too, I know, Coastal City.
Everyone's saying it's call Raj in the post show.
I should call Raj at the post show.
It's very late. It's very
he doesn't
late.
like, and also
right.
he's,
It's
he,
like
you know,
10
he,
o'clock. Yeah.
he doesn't want to be on camera.
Yeah, he called before and he was on camera. I answered on camera. That's the whole point. If you want more Back Pocket action, then head to backpocket.gg. There are links there to everywhere. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we've got stores, we've got podcasts, and we're happy to have you help us out with your eyeballs. If you want to help us out with your pocket balls as well, and that's what I call money, then you can send your money to patreon.com/backpocket and become a member of the Back Pocket Patreon. There are tons of rewards and full access, unfettered access to our Discord. All right. I've had a lovely time with you all, and I hope you guys had a good show too.
It's been delightful.
Yeah. Great fun.
I actually feel 1,000 times better than I did.
That's actually a good point. I don't feel like
I've
vomiting. How do you guys feel down there?
Oh man, like I feel like we've come out the other side of like vaccine fog.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Nick, how
I'm
you
feeling
feeling?
pretty good.
I feel a little nauseous and very cold, so I don't know where that came from, but it just appeared all of a sudden. But we'll talk about more of that in the post show. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We're going to back it out.
Backing it out.